Chapter 428. The parrot's indiscriminate attacks infuriated Emperor Yi. Fortunately, Xia Ziluo and Shinong Qingyan weren't here. Otherwise, there would have been a storm. Yi Qinghan smiled. In terms of deceit, no one could compare to the parrot. As long as this fella didn't cheat him, he could forgive all other small things. I'll go to the Forbidden Grounds to take a look. Wait for me here. Yi Qinghan said softly. I'll go with you. Emperor Yi said without hesitation. What about Medusa? It's not safe to bring her along. She can't even withstand the most basic shockwaves. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said in a deep voice, the two of you stay in Emperor Abyss City. Now that there's no one in Emperor Abyss City and the experts have all left, it's very safe. I'll be back soon. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sent Medusa to Emperor Yi. Then, he pounced into the distance alone and followed behind the great emperor, constantly approaching the Forbidden Grounds. Millions of dead spirits rushed towards the Forbidden Grounds aggressively. In the depths of the Forbidden Grounds, Lin Chenfeng struggled to stand up. His body was covered in blood. He woke up the three experts who were in seclusion and said hoarsely, the Forbidden Grounds are in chaos. Prepare to attack and kill all the dead spirits. What's going on? A skinny man frowned and asked in a deep voice. Medusa and that damn devouring spirit eagle revealed the truth. Part of my divine sense has been severely damaged. I don't have much combat strength left. It's up to you guys. Lin Chenfeng coughed out blood and said, that damned bird. I'll tear it apart with my own hands. The man roared. It seemed like he was also deeply injured. Medusa is clearly evolving, but she can still fly. Therefore, help me get a stock of divine medicine. I need to treat my injuries. Lin Chenfeng was already powerless to break the divine medicine's defensive array. He couldn't help but look at the three. The skinny man made his move and directly shattered a defensive array. He took a stock of divine medicine. He was about to prove his Tao, but unfortunately, he was going to die from the poison. In the back mountain of the Forbidden Grounds, there were at least a dozen such divine herbs. They were all nourished by the vitality and qi of numerous great emperors and quasi-emperors, so their growth speed was abnormally terrifying. Unfortunately, they could not prove their Tao because the four experts did not allow it. If Medusa was here, she would definitely recognize them. These four people were all famous, terrifying existences in the mythological plane. Their notoriety was innumerable. They were one of the 5 mythological devils. The great devil Tianlu was the master of the old spirit-devouring divine eagle. In the end, he actually died in the hands of his own spirit pet. If the people of the mythological plane knew of this, they would surely laugh their heads off. The second devil was Lin Chenfeng, the third devil was Lu Chen, the fourth devil was Kuang Shatian, and the fifth devil was Lu Chushua. The fifth devil was actually a woman, and she was quite good-looking. Her bones were filled with charm, and she was enchanting. However, the other 3 devils didn't dare to provoke her. It could be seen that she was a terrifying master. If anyone wanted to take advantage of her, not even their bones would be left behind. Lu Chen handed the divine herb over to Lin Chenfeng. Then he used his terrifying divine sense to probe the surroundings. When he saw that the million dead spirits were about to reach the forbidden area, he sneered. He waved his hand and continuously formed seals. A sky-covering palm print tore through the heavens and earth as it smashed towards the army of dead spirits. Boom! The giant palm print attacked the great emperors in front without any warning. The shockwaves caused the mountains and rivers to collapse. The great emperors were shocked. They frantically dodged and escaped the killing move. However, the boundary emperors and ordinary dead spirits behind them couldn't escape. The giant palm print instantly shattered countless dead spirits, leaving no signs of life. The dead spirits were instantly enraged. They rushed towards the forbidden area from all directions. At this moment, there was no need for Yi Qinghan to instigate them. They were already fighting to the death. Kill. I've had enough of these bastards. Brothers, follow me and kill. Kill them and we can seize the divine herb. You can attain your Tao and follow me to the mythological plane. Boom, boom, boom. Immortal light soared into the sky. Colorful sword lights covered the sky. The attack of millions of dead spirits was something that even a peak great emperor wouldn't be able to withstand. Moreover, there were more than 30 real great emperors. The gate of the forbidden area was destroyed. There was no order. The group of people pushed forward, pressuring Lu Chen until he was forced to retreat. These divine herbs were nurtured with our vitality and blood. They were originally ours. Now that we want to take them back, these vicious old things will stop us. What do you think we should do? Feather's Sky Emperor roared. Kill. Among the millions of dead spirits, none of them were below the immortal realm. There were dozens of great emperors and countless boundary emperors. They used their actions to demonstrate what the day of nirvana was. The forbidden area was almost destroyed. Even with 3 terrifying existences working together, they still couldn't withstand it. Giant palm prints and sword chi constantly appeared in the sky. The divine whip tore through the space above the forbidden area and smashed into the dead spirits. Instantly, there were countless casualties. The dead spirits were in a frenzy. The great emperors opened a path and rushed towards the depths. The mountains collapsed and the array was broken. The array of the entire forbidden area lost its effect. The 4 demons could no longer control the forbidden area. The divine herb flew into the sky and rushed towards the distance, hoping to escape this calamity. However, there were too many dead spirits. How could they allow the divine herb to escape? The forbidden area was instantly in a mess. They started killing each other. All of you stop right there. Kill the 4 old monsters at the back of the mountain first. Those divine herbs won't be able to escape. Mo Zhengsha roared angrily. The chaotic dead spirit army immediately calmed down and started to attack the depths of the forbidden area in an orderly manner. The forbidden area was surrounded by the dead spirit army. They were getting closer and closer to the mountains. Boom! The 3 demons worked together. Heaven and earth were reversed. Yin and Yang collapsed. A terrifying attack killed a great emperor and countless dead spirits. The dead spirits' casualties were absolutely tragic. In just a short period of time, almost 100,000 of them died. They lost 2 great emperors and countless boundary emperors. Yi Qinghan looked at the forbidden area from the back and revealed a cold smile. He didn't care about the divine herb that flew into the sky. Good kill. Lin Shenfeng, you'd better be beaten half to death. This divine bird will kill you with my own hands and refine you alive in order to avenge my father's death. The parrot's feathers stood on end as it roared furiously. Don't be impatient. They didn't hurt their foundation. At the very least, we have to wait until both sides are injured and have no chance to counterattack before we make our move. Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. In the forbidden area, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The heavenly river was upside down and the great Tao rumbled. However, at the edge of the endless universe, the armies were facing each other. The battle wasn't as intense as here. The mecha civilization and spaceships could easily destroy a planet. Boom! Emperor Killer erupted. A sword pierced through the clouds and tore apart the heavens and earth. It directly slashed apart more than 10 spaceships. The spaceship's energy was attacked and directly exploded. Countless mechas nearby were destroyed. Experts flew into the sky, blocking the vanguard team of the mechanical civilization. Super experts were facing off against 7-star mechas. Their combat prowess was absolutely terrifying. Mechas kept on exploding in the sky like dazzling fireworks, causing the Milky Way to be extremely beautiful. The experts fell, and their blood splattered everywhere. Boom! Chitian Monkey King transformed into a golden body. With a single strike, the 7-star mechas were smashed apart. Sikong Qingjuan's golden jade thunder god's staff commanded lightning and thunder. It directly pounced into the group of mechas. The mechas didn't shatter, but the people inside were directly electrocuted to death. They fell one after another and crashed into the dead planet. Xiao Xiao Xiao, Gu Qingyu controlled the Tianwu battle sword. Not to mention 7-star mechas, even 8th grade mechas could be pierced through. He was invincible all the way and disrupted the mecha army's deployment. Shen Kei's killing move didn't have much effect on the mechas. He had no choice but to retreat and defend himself. He was unwilling. This was a battle of merits, and everyone wanted to contribute. Unfortunately, he didn't have the chance. The people of the insane sect were the most powerful, and Xia Ziluo was even more powerful. She crushed a mech with one hand, and even the galloping spaceships with their energy shields activated could not escape. She killed so much that the mechanical civilization was terrified. Shino Qingyan ate spirit fruits and sat lazily on the palanquin as she watched the battle. She didn't care at all. Ghost Emperor, rush to their headquarters and capture the commander for me. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan will say that I'm not doing my best. Shino Qingyan stretched and said lightly. Planet Lord Panjia thought that this would be a simple task, but he didn't expect the other party to be prepared. The huge mecha army was actually stopped for 3 days. There were experts everywhere, and all of them rushed over. The mecha army was slaughtered like babies. Go and ask for more reinforcements. Mobilize the 7-star mecha army and kill those elite cultivators. Panjia roared angrily. Planet Lord, the rear replied that the 7-star mecha army is gathering. They will arrive tomorrow at the latest. A big man cupped his fist and said, a bunch of trash. Whoever kills that person with the lightning rod will be rewarded with an 8th grade mecha and promoted to a captain. Panjia pointed at Sikong Chengjunqing. He was the one who caused the most damage to the mechas. Wherever the Golden Jade Thunder God's rod went, the mechas would lose their ability to fight. Sir, the only way to deal with him is to use the super long-range energy cannons to kill him. However, we will suffer a huge loss if we use the long-range energy cannons for a single person. If the upper echelons find out, they will definitely be furious. One of the experts reminded, the super long-range energy cannon was used to deal with a powerful planet. One shot could definitely blast a powerful planet into pieces. Using it to kill Sikong Chengjunqing was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. It was a waste. Stop talking nonsense. Get the army to retreat and prepare the energy cannon. Kill him. Planet Lord Panjia said coldly. Yes. Everyone was helpless and could only nod in agreement. Woo woo woo, the strange sound of a bugle horn echoed through the mountains and rivers. The mechas all retreated in an orderly manner. Don't chase a cornered enemy. We are just delaying for time, buying time for the illusion formation at the rear. Di Shang ordered everyone to retreat. When the Ghost Emperor saw that the situation had stabilized, he could only retreat. Swish, 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 swish. Several hundred huge flying shuttles appeared in the air above the enemy camp. They seemed to be in a formation, revealing a huge opening. It was as though a terrifying monster was about to rush out from the depths. Not good. They want to activate the energy cannon. Disperse, all of you, disperse. Increase the distance by 10,000 miles. Dong Huangyu's eyes narrowed in disbelief. These experts were few in number and their speed was fast. There were no life planets here. He didn't understand why the commander wanted to activate the energy cannon. When everyone heard this, they instantly fled like crazy. They increased the distance between them and tried to find a chance to dodge the attack. However, no matter how Sikong Chengjun dodged, the cannon's muzzle was still locked onto him. Dong Huangyu was astonished. He couldn't help but curse the mecha commander for being trash. The commander actually used the super long-range energy cannon just to kill one person. Chapter 429. The Forbidden Land was a sea of fire. White bones turned into ashes and flew with the wind, covering the sky. Great emperors dyed the sky red with blood. Yin and Yang reversed, and the great Tao rumbled. The entire endless space could feel the murderous aura. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, and a cold light shot out from his eyes. He wanted to rush up and help. The undead spirits were at a disadvantage now. So many great emperors led millions of undead spirits, but they were actually stopped by 3 devils. However, that mountain was about to be destroyed. Without the barrier, Lin Chenfeng and the others could not escape. Dogs hit. A bunch of dogs hit. So many people are attacking, but they can't take it down. Bastards! The parrot was exasperated. It did not hate the undead spirits, but it really hated Lin Chenfeng and the others. Don't worry. Deciding the outcome now is not good for us. Let's wait until they kill to the end. Let's see how many will be left. Yi Qinghan grinned and sneered. I'll think of a way to make this fire burn brighter. The parrot racked its brains and began to fall silent. Eastern wasteland, blazing mountain. The adult golden crow was tumbling in the depths. A large amount of ninth-grade fire essence was swallowed, and the temperature of the blazing mountain became even crazier. The entire eastern wasteland fell into a scorching hot period. The little golden crow could not forget the spirit-devouring godly eagle. It had not seen it for hundreds of years, and it missed it very much. Whoosh! The little golden crow streaked across the sky and rushed out of the eastern wasteland. It was like a blazing sun that could be seen clearly from 10,000 miles away. Brother, I'm coming to find you. The little golden crow could not forget this imposter brother of hers. A strand of divine sense covered the area, and it was constantly approaching the center of the area. Following the parrot's aura, the little golden crow chased all the way to Emperor Abyss City. It swept across the sky, and Medusa was shocked. Golden crow divine bird. I didn't think that this plane would really have such a creature. Medusa said to herself. What is this golden crow? Why is sister losing her composure? Emperor Yi asked curiously. It is a true divine bird, an existence that can surpass 10 grades. Medusa murmured. This creature was her natural enemy, and its flames were enough to burn her to death. The little golden crow looked into the distance, and found Yi Qinghan and the parrot behind the mountain rock. So, it immediately descended to the ground, and crept forward on tiptoe. It continued to approach Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan suddenly felt as if his back was on fire. His hair stood on end, and without looking back, he took to the skies. The little golden crow had forgotten that its body temperature was very high. If even this could not alarm Yi Qinghan, then Yi Qinghan's combat strength was too weak. Yi Qinghan rushed into the sky and hurriedly looked back. It was actually the little golden crow standing in the place where he was just a moment ago. He couldn't help but be surprised and delighted. He hurriedly descended to the ground and hid again. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly. I didn't even notice you until you were so close to me, Yi Qinghan said happily. Ahem, you actually discovered me. I wanted to give you a surprise. The little golden crow said in an aggrieved manner. Brother. Your body temperature can only kill me. It can't give me a surprise. The parrot curled its lips. It kept a respectful distance from the little golden crow, and didn't dare to approach it. Brother, you are still so afraid of fire. But you are getting whiter. The little golden crow was very envious. It looked at its dark golden feathers, and was somewhat dissatisfied. The parrot rolled its eyes, and secretly sighed that the little golden crow was very simple. The little golden crow was very different from the parrot after it grew up. It didn't even realize that it was fooling it. Little golden crow, why didn't you practice in the mountain of flames? Don't you know that it is dangerous outside? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. I miss you. There is no one to talk to me in the mountain of flames. It is very boring. I wanted to come out long ago, but my parents told me that I can only leave the mountain of flames when I am an adult. So I came out. The little golden crow's intelligence was still very low. Perhaps it was too simple. It didn't have any sinister experience. It trusted Yi Qinghan very much. Well, stay with me. Don't run around. The endless universe is not safe these days. There is danger everywhere, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Danger? How can this group of people be so ugly? They don't even have flesh and blood. The little golden crow curiously looked at the depths of the forbidden area and asked doubtfully. They are not people. They are dead souls. They live by devouring the essence of life. If you meet such people in the future, just kill them. Don't ask too much, Yi Qinghan reminded. Oh, let's go in and kill them. I will burn this place down. The little golden crow said excitedly. I am still counting on them to kill those 4 old monsters in the depths of the forbidden area. Yi Qinghan quickly grabbed the little golden crow. White smoke was coming out of his hand, and his body was almost ignited. He immediately released his big hand. His face twitched and he almost screamed. Fuck, can you control your body temperature? Yi Qinghan whispered. The little golden crow shook its head awkwardly. Only now did it understand why its brother didn't like to be close to it. Yi Qinghan was helpless. He focused on the depths of the forbidden area. The battle had reached its climax. Waves of blood soared into the sky and rushed to the outside world. The emperor blood destroyed the mountains. Half of the great sovereigns were gone. There were only 20 left, and a few of them were severely injured. However, the 3 demons, Lu Qin, was severely injured. He was pulled out by the Silver Wolf Demon Emperor and was eaten by the dead souls in an instant. Kill! The dead souls became more and more courageous as they fought. However, the experts in the depths of the forbidden area had endless secret techniques. Every move was vicious. Mountains and seas were moved. A grain of sand could crush a dead soul, and a leaf of grass could penetrate a boundary emperor. The battle was not one-sided. This was the situation that Yi Qinghan wanted to see. The forbidden lands could be destroyed as easily as blowing off dust. Lin Chenfeng was bathed in divine light and became stronger. His divine sense quickly recovered, and all the profundities of the laws appeared around him. Old Lin, hurry up. We can't hold on any longer. Lu Chushua trembled and panted. Her trembling breaths were enough to make a man's wild nature erupt. Lu Qin is already dead. These dead souls are crazy. Damn it, I'm going to kill them all. Huang Shatian was furious. He put his palms together and crossed them. A fireball appeared in his palms. It grew bigger and bigger like a scorching sun. He pushed it out fiercely toward the dead souls. The fireball expanded to tens of thousands of feet and rolled toward the outside world. It crushed everything in its way and turned everything in its path into nothingness. Boom! The remaining great sovereign frantically counterattacked. The force of the counterattack sent Huang Shatian, who had exhausted his true yuan, flying. He crashed into a mountain and the mountain collapsed. His body was also torn into pieces, and he had completely lost his ability to fight. With another demon emperor gone, the pressure on Lu Chushue multiplied. She started to retreat frantically. She was sent flying by the counterattack and coughed up blood. At this moment, Lin Chenfeng stood on top of the collapsed iron mountain. He grabbed the sky with his 10 fingers and smashed toward the army of dead souls. Boom! The forbidden ground was destroyed. Less than 1/3 of the millions of dead souls were left. Half of them were killed by this attack. The great sovereign coughed up blood and was sent flying. It was as if the universe was destroyed and the wilderness was reborn. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. This Lin Chenfeng was indeed powerful. He was far more powerful than the others. He was like a god who controlled the world and could not be disobeyed. A bunch of ants. You actually listened to a lowly bird and went against the will of this god. If it wasn't for me, you would all be dead. Boom! Lin Chenfeng began to counterattack. He punched through a great sovereign's body and the shockwave shattered thousands of sub-sovereigns. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. It seemed like he had underestimated these existences from the middle space. Even if their cultivation was severely injured, they were still stronger than the great sovereigns. Let's go! Yi Qinghan saw that there was no chance and immediately retreated. They sped all the way back to Emperor Abyss City. Emperor Yi and Medusa were still waiting for them. Medusa looked at the golden crow and her eyes shrunk. She began to hide behind Emperor Yi. Master, what's the situation in the Forbidden Ground? Emperor Yi asked anxiously. The dead souls are crippled. However, among the 4 old monsters, 1 is dead and 2 are severely injured. Only Lin Chenfeng still has the strength to fight. After this, he won't dare to take the initiative to attack. At least, he can buy us 100 years of time. Yi Qinghan said with satisfaction. Then Emperor Yi asked. We must not let the defeated dead souls escape into the depths of the boundless universe. Kill every single one that escapes. We must not let them live. Yi Qinghan said ruthlessly. However, Lin Chenfeng's eyes were bloodshot. Almost everyone below the great sovereign level was killed. The remaining 10 or so escaped frantically. There were still 7 great sovereign dead souls left. The demon wolf great sovereign, sky feather great sovereign, and the others took the opportunity to escape from the forbidden ground. Lin Chenfeng was enraged. He stretched out his hand and grabbed at the demon wolf great emperor who was outside the forbidden grounds. His huge hand pressed down and smashed the demon wolf great emperor into smithereens. His life force was instantly devoured. With this delay, the other 6 great emperors rushed out. However, before they could react, Yi Qinghan's reincarnation mirror was activated. A ray of destructive light shot out and engulfed 3 of them. Feather Sky roared furiously, "Yi Qinghan, what are you trying to do? Of course I hope you're all dead." Yi Qinghan forcefully blocked Feather Sky Emperor. The reincarnation mirror swept out crazily, causing heaven and earth to collapse. The endless black hole directly swallowed Feather Sky Emperor. When the little golden crow saw that there was a commotion, it immediately turned into a ball of scorching sun and swallowed the flames in its mouth, engulfing the other great emperor. At this moment, the great emperor was severely injured, so how could he have the chance to fight back? As soon as he was touched by the level 9 divine flame, he was immediately set ablaze. A mournful roar of anger shook the mountains and rivers. The great emperor tumbled, smashing through the city walls. Even the Emperor Abyss City was set ablaze. Whoosh! After Yi Qinghan killed Feather Sky Emperor, he used stellar transposition to cut through the sky and blocked the last great emperor who was in a sorry state. Die! A saber slashed through the sky, shattering space and time. Its aura was extraordinary, as if an overlord had descended. The moment the saber slashed out, Yi Qinghan's body flashed with the shadow of a snake. The multicolored snake turned into a swimming dragon and took advantage of the blinding saber light to approach the half-crippled great emperor without leaving a trace. The great emperor was enraged. As the saying goes, when a tiger falls to the plains, it will be bullied by dogs. Now that he was in his twilight years and had just experienced a great battle, he didn't dare to face Yi Qinghan's attack head-on. He turned around to dodge, but it just so happened that he met the multicolored snake head-on. Poochie! The multicolored snake effortlessly broke through the great emperor's defense and directly drilled into his body, crazily devouring his blood and chi. The great emperor screamed and slapped at his wound. However, the multicolored snake sped through his blood vessels and had already dodged. Boom! The great emperor directly shattered his physical body, and his soul left his body. Just as he was about to escape, he was surrounded by a ball of fire. There was no escape for him, and he was quickly annihilated by the flames. His mournful roar of anger caused heaven and earth to howl in grief. The remaining boundary emperors were stopped by Emperor Yi. In the end, only a few boundary emperors escaped from the imperial region. There was nothing to fear. Chapter 430. At the endless border, energy raged as a flaming dragon spewed out from the black hole. It rushed into the galaxy and drowned a dead star. Sikong Qingjuan's pupils shrank as death descended from the sky. Even the alternate space was flattened, and there was no way to escape. He met Jin Yen in his despair. The two looked at each other and could not help but laugh bitterly as they watched the terrifying energy sweep towards them. Many experts were drowned and completely gave up on struggling. They held hands and prepared to welcome death. Whoosh! A peerless divine figure broke through the shackles of time and space. Not only did it not escape to the periphery, it rushed towards the center of the energy and grabbed at Sikong Qingjun. The mountains and rivers rolled backward as the energy drowned everything in front of them. It also drowned Sikong Qingjun and Jin Yen. It also drowned that figure. However, no one noticed that the figure was even faster than the energy blast. It carried Sikong Qingjun and Jin Yen straight into the clouds. The heroes were enraged, and the crazy ones went berserk as they attacked the enemy's headquarters from both sides. Kill! A group of madmen rushed towards the headquarters, the battle weapons in their hands wreaking havoc. Shino Qingyan fled in a sorry state. Her body was like charcoal, and even her hair was burned. At this moment, icy flames shot out from her eyes as she pointed at the Ghost Emperor and shouted, "Go and capture their commander and bring him to me. If you can't capture him, don't come back." A shrill roar was heard as the Ghost Emperor took to the sky and flew thousands of miles in an instant. Wherever he passed, Mecha would crash. He went straight for the headquarters, and a single punch could penetrate a giant spaceship with a radius of 1,000 meters. The Ghost Emperor, who was the king of solo soldiers, rushed into the group of mecha and headed straight for the headquarters. Report. On the Dead Star, a scout rushed into the headquarters of the mecha troops. Pan Jia shouted angrily, "What's the matter?" "An Emperor-level expert has appeared and is heading straight for our headquarters." The scout said hurriedly, "It's just an Emperor-level expert. This old man doesn't put this kind of existence in his eyes." Pan Jia was disdainful. He then said, "All 7-star mecha, follow me and take him down." The Ghost Emperor was too fast and did not give the other party a chance. He arrived at the headquarters in the blink of an eye and punched through the defense. Many people did not have time to move their mecha before their bodies turned into blood mist. Boom! Pan Jia sensed death and quickly activated his mecha. Even so, he was still struck dizzy by this punch. His mecha tumbled a few times before crashing into a withered mountain. The mountain collapsed and buried his mecha under the impact. Whoosh! The Ghost Emperor's sharp claws tore through the mecha and directly grabbed Pan Jia out. With him in a flash, the mecha army's morale was instantly thrown into chaos. The Ghost Emperor left, but Yi Qinghan appeared, holding Sikong Qingjun and Jin Yan's hands. He smiled and said in a hoarse voice, "You two, stop hugging each other. When this is over, I will hold a dual cultivation ceremony for you two. Now, follow me and destroy these mechas." Sikong Qingjun and Jin Yan had escaped death. They looked at each other and smiled. Then, they followed Yi Qinghan and charged into the enemy army. Lightning covered the Death Star, and the people inside the mecha were directly electrocuted to death. A large number of mecha were corpses. Yi Qinghan entered the battlefield, and the situation became one-sided. The thunder origin was vast and mighty, and a large number of mecha fell. Coupled with the loss of morale, Dong Huangyu blended into the enemy army and directly announced his surrender. A large number of mecha soldiers were captured. When the people of the insane sect saw that Sikong Qingjun and Jin Yan were not dead, they could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. A large number of human soldiers arrived and detained the mecha soldiers. Their mechas were taken away and all of them were transported to the rear. The 10 million-strong army was either dead or injured. In the end, less than 30% of them escaped. In the headquarters at the rear, Shenong Qingyan was flustered and exasperated. She directly stuffed a poison pill into Pan Jia's mouth. At this moment, Pan Jia's windpipe was sealed and he could not roar. He twitched and rolled on the ground, and his eyeballs almost popped out. Shenong Qingyan smiled evilly and said coldly, "This is the first time this queen is in such a sorry state, and it's all thanks to you. If I don't teach you a lesson today, I am not worthy to be Shenong's descendant." Pan Jia was bleeding from all 7 orifices. He knelt on the ground and begged, but he could not say a word. Yi Qinghan and the others returned to the rear and saw that Pan Jia was tortured beyond recognition. They immediately shrugged their shoulders. Sikong Qingjun even rushed forward and crushed Pan Jia's ankle. A dignified expert was actually tortured to the point of fainting. "All right, wake him up, but don't kill him. I still have some questions to ask him." Yi Qinghan said indifferently, "I'll leave him to you. Give him to me after you ask him. I haven't taught him a proper lesson yet." Shenong Qingyan said coldly. Everyone trembled. He was already tortured to this extent, and she still said that she had not taught him a proper lesson. When she did teach him a proper lesson, would Pan Jia still be human? Whoosh! Yi Qinghan flicked his finger, and a wisp of wood element hung onto Pan Jia's flame of life, saving him. Pan Jia immediately screamed and cursed in anger. "You bunch of bastards! Just you wait." But before Pan Jia could finish his sentence, his pupils suddenly shrank and his body convulsed. He was in so much pain that his eyes were about to split open. His heart suddenly stopped beating, but he did not faint. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up and said indifferently, "It seems that your bones are quite tough. I have many ways to deal with people with tough bones. Why don't you try them one by one? I want to see how long you can endure." Every inch of Pan Jia's flesh and blood was crushed. Yi Qinghan's control was extremely precise. It was a complete torture to the soul, causing despair. Please, spare my life, kill me. In an instant, Pangaea's divine sense was in chaos. He was begging for mercy and death. Be obedient and I will fulfill your wish. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Tell me, how many troops are there at the rear? What kind of troops are they based on? When will they attack? Who will be leading them? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. There are many. The mechanical civilization has mobilized their entire army. 6-star mechas as the base and 7-star mechas as the vanguard. Pangaea no longer dared to show off his ability. He answered every question without hiding anything. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist. He could not find such a powerful mechanical civilization. At this time, Lu Outyan walked over and whispered, the rear deployment has been completed. We should be able to deal a heavy blow to the mechanical civilization. Yes, order the others to retreat. Everyone above the God Martial realm from the Mad Sect will stay. We will lure the mechanical civilization into a trap. Yi Qinghan nodded. In the mechanical civilization star field, the ruler was furious when he heard that the vanguard unit was almost completely wiped out. An army of 10 million can't even hold on for 3 days. How can martial artists be so strong? The emperor of the mechanical civilization glared at the commander of the military department and asked coldly, is it the martial artists who are strong or is it you who are useless? Pangaea's request for reinforcements has already reached the military department for a day and the 7-star mechas only just started mobilizing. What are you all doing? The commanders of the military department lowered their heads, not daring to look directly at him. Even if you don't say anything, I know why. I'll remember what happened today. If you make a similar mistake again, everyone involved will be executed, including Commander Xian Lang. When the emperor was angry, corpses would float for thousands of miles. His aura suppressed the heroes and made them not dare to move. My emperor, I am willing to lead the troops to avenge this humiliation. Su Chang was from the military department of the mechanical civilization. He was young and promising. At the age of 30, he was able to pilot an 8-star mecha to perfection and was doted on by the mechanical emperor. This person was cruel and merciless. He once slaughtered an entire planet by himself and was known as the Slaughterer Marquis. Hence, he was given the title Marquis Su by the emperor. He was the first Marquis with a different surname. The mechanical emperor nodded and was very satisfied with Su Chang's performance. He dared to take the initiative to ask for battle at the crucial moment. Su Chang, you will lead 300,000 7-star mechas and 10 million 6-star mechas. You must avenge this humiliation. I will also assign you 8 8-star deputy commanders. They will listen to your orders. You must use actions to prove that our mechanical civilization is stronger than the martial arts civilization. The emperor said in a deep voice. Yes, my emperor. Su Chang accepted the order and left. He gathered the troops and began to head out. In the palace, a man in black quietly appeared and said with a hoarse voice, My emperor, the 7th prince has come out of seclusion. Just as my emperor expected, his physical body has successfully evolved into an emperor physique. He has gathered most of the special physiques and bloodlines. However, some of the special physiques and bloodlines have yet to fully appear. He may still need to evolve and cultivate artificial special physiques and evolving the physical body to an emperor physique. One had to admit that the mechanical civilization was very terrifying. And the rest of you leave. The emperor nodded and waved his hand, indicating for everyone to leave. Only the man in black was left. Can the God creation plan be implemented? The emperor stared at the man in black and asked in a deep voice. No problem. The 7th prince didn't feel any discomfort. His performance was abnormally strong. An 8-star mecha was torn apart by his hands. He could even penetrate the energy cannon with a punch. He didn't even need to transform into armor. The man in black said excitedly, Did his life force extend? Or is there any depletion? The emperor asked again. The 7th prince's vitality far surpasses my emperor. The depletion of his vitality is even slower than an emperor physique. If you can gather more powerful special physiques and bloodlines, my emperor will definitely be able to live forever. The man in black replied. Good. Let little Seven come and see me. The emperor's eyes flashed as he asked excitedly. The man in black retreated. The emperor of the mechanical civilization paced around the palace. His emotions finally fluctuated. Soon, the man in black brought a handsome young man. His vitality was restrained, but it was still terrifying. His eyes were filled with dominance and coldness. A flash of light flashed and disappeared. He knelt on one knee, cupped his fist, and said, "Father, I didn't let you down. I have successfully tested the medicine. Good. Little Seven didn't let me down. Today, I will give you another mission. Once you complete it, you can come back and be conferred the title of Crown Prince." The emperor's face was filled with approval as he nodded. The young man lowered his head. His emotions were calm. An evil smile appeared on his face, but it quickly disappeared. "Thank you, Father. I will go through water and tread on fire without hesitation." The seventh prince replied respectfully. "And among the princes, other than the fourth prince, you are the only one with potential. Such an important mission can only be given to you." The emperor smiled. The ruthlessness in his eyes turned into gentleness. He said hoarsely, "Bring people to the endless universe to capture powerful special physiques and young emperors. I want them alive." "Yes, Father." The seventh prince stood up and replied. "Remember, the capture operation must be carried out secretly. Don't let them be on guard." The emperor was very satisfied with the seventh prince's attitude. He then said, "You can choose any 8-star mecha warriors of the younger generation. From now on, they are your private soldiers. There is no need to return them to the military." Chapter 431. In the main hall, the emperor of the machine civilization took out a list and handed it to the seventh prince. "This is the report from our spies. All the names of the younger generation with powerful blood chi or special physiques in the endless universe are listed here. Their combat power, secret techniques, weaknesses, and everything else is listed here. I hope you can capture the top 10 on the list within 3 years, the emperor said solemnly. The seventh prince took the list and glanced at it. The first place was Yi Qinghan, second place was Si Wuxie, and third place was Emperor Yi. Almost everyone from the insane sect was on the list, and their rankings were not bad. There were a total of 100 people, and the insane sect took up 12 of them. The seventh prince took the list and left. When he turned around, the emperor of the machine civilization did not see the evil smile on his face. It was hair-raising. Tap, tap, tap. The seventh prince took the list and entered the military headquarters. He asked for 20 young experts by name. All of them were from the Eagle faction and had been promoted from the poor. Their desire for status was extraordinary, and they relied on their own strength to achieve it. Yi Zichen, Wang Yuesheng, Mu Ku, Leng Sha. The seventh prince looked at the 20 young people in front of him and said in a deep voice, "From today onwards, you are my personal guards. I will lead you to conquer the universe, and each of you will be an overlord. However, those who dare to betray me will have their entire family annihilated. We are willing to serve the seventh prince." Yi Zichen and the others knelt on one knee and cupped their fists. The seventh prince's lips curled up as he muttered in his heart, "You want me to serve you as a guinea pig? 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Sooner or later, I will drag you down from your high and mighty throne. The 20 people you gave me today will be my foundation." At the edge of the universe, there were countless small planets, but there were not many experts. True experts would not stop here. Su Chang pushed his way through, and all the planets with life were forcefully crushed. He began his iron-blooded revenge. Yi Qinghan frowned and thought to himself, "This General Su Chang didn't fight me first." Instead, he sent a small team to attack the small planet from the side and kill the creatures. "It seems that he wants to infuriate me." Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and said to Di Shang, "Master, take some people and wait for the army here. Order the other superclass experts to disguise themselves and enter the planets with life. Kill the other teams one by one." "Where are you going?" Di Shang asked. "This Su Chang is really bold. He actually dared to leave the barracks and fight in person. I'll go find him and kill him first." Yi Qinghan took the little golden crow and flashed away, rushing towards the border star field. The literate star was one of the life planets in the border star field. It was extremely ancient and there were many powerful ferocious beasts on it. There were very few humans and the majority of them were mortals. There were no powerful cultivators. This place was filled with an ancient aura. The flames of war were unceasing and the smoke of war rose everywhere. Mechas constantly flew through the sky and landed on the ground. Mortals cried and hid in the mountains and forests, praying for the gods to appear and for the great emperor to be reborn. A great emperor had once been born here, so the planet was protected by the great emperor formation. It had not been damaged even now. The cannon fire could only destroy a mountain at most. Great Emperor Wenshang, your people beg you to return. Descendant of the great emperor, your people beg you to revive and fight for our race. How could a mortal dynasty deal with such a mecha civilization? One mecha could sweep through an area, not to mention that the mecha teams were in groups of 10. They were invincible. The Wenshang Great Emperor's family had already declined and disappeared in the river of history. People could only pray, but no one could answer their requests. In a barren mountain range, there were no other human experts except for ancient forests and flying beasts. However, in the depths of the forest, there were two people, one old and one young. The old man was past his prime and had white hair. The young man was young, only 13 or 14 years old. However, he held a divine spear in his hand. He looked majestic. His handsome face did not have the slightest trace of childishness. Instead, it had an unconcealable sense of maturity. He did not look like a 13 or 14-year-old child at all. Only his eyes were filled with coldness, loneliness, and wildness. The spear's body was filled with the power of the great Tao. Without the Wenshang Great Emperor's bloodline, it was impossible to control it. The old man was called Dragon's Car and the young man was called Uncle Wen. They had lived here in seclusion for many years and had never come out. They were the last bloodline of the Wen clan. There were only two people left in the declining imperial clan. It could be seen how hard they had been through these years. They lived here in seclusion to protect the clan's great emperor weapon, which was the spear in Uncle Wen's hand. Dragon's Car was Uncle Wen's Tao protector. Perhaps he was the only one left on the literate planet. Seeing the planet in danger made his heart ache. Uncle Wen, I'm going out. If I don't come back, don't come out of the forest. Do you understand? Dragon's Car said, Grandfather, if you want to go out and fight for them, I want to fight too. Uncle Wen held the spear. He was not willing to let the old man fight alone, even if he was only his butler and Tao protector. Child, you must remember the clan's mission. Do not be impulsive. The tiger-striped soul-reaping spear cannot be revived now. You must wait. In the future, it will definitely lead you to the path of Tao. Dragonscar's white hair fluttered in the wind. He was a descendant of the Wen clan. No matter what era it was, he would not lose his pride. Remember, you must pass down the glory of the Wen clan. Otherwise, how will you have the face to meet your ancestors? The old man decisively left. He donned his armor and held his spear. He once again stepped into the battlefield of the strong. He pierced through a mecha that was speeding towards him with his spear. He stepped into the air and charged towards the battlefield. Uncle Wen held the emperor's spear tightly. His 5 fingers pierced into an ancient tree beside him. In an instant, the vitality of the ancient tree was completely devoured. The tree withered as if it had been dead for 10,000 years. The devourer physique could devour the essence of the world. Iron essence, divine medicine, and even the memories and secret techniques of the enemy. There was no need to cultivate. It could be used for one's own use. This was the most terrifying physique in the ancient times. Boom! Dragon's Car roamed the world with his spear. Every spear reaped the lives of his enemies. He killed so many mecha squads that they exploded. They were like beautiful fireworks that lit up the sky. Wen clan's ancestral land. How dare you behave so atrociously? Shio 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 shio. Every spear reaped the soul. With a flick of his finger, he could turn a withered branch into a spear. He could actually penetrate the defenses of mechas. More than 10 7-star mechas fell in an instant. Boom! The distress signal bomb exploded in the void. The mecha squads fled frantically to buy time for the reinforcements. The Wen clan is here. We are saved. People knelt on the ground and cried. Their bodies were covered in blood. Most of it was the blood of their family members. The fire burned down the houses. Even the main hall of the human race's palace was set ablaze. The emperor personally knelt on the ground and led his people to pray for blessings. Although the old man was past his prime, his vitality had been ignited. He could still fight against the heavens and the earth. He displayed the glory of the emperor's family in the past. 3 squads of elite mecha warriors were powerless in front of him. As time passed, the old man's vitality began to deplete. His combat strength became weaker and weaker. His skin wrinkled. The flame of his life was about to be extinguished by the strong wind at any time. Su Chang personally piloted an 8-star mecha and appeared. He tore through space and time and punched out at Dragonscar's back. Boom! Dragonscar directly counterattacked. His spear was like a rainbow that could destroy everything. He ruthlessly smashed at Su Chang's mecha. The 2 flaming dragons instantly collided. The shockwaves surged into the sky and rolled out in all directions. Countless creatures were shattered by the shockwaves. Blood mist filled the sky. Dragonscar was too tired. His spear had exhausted all his vitality. He coughed out blood and flew backward. He fell into the crowd. Everyone was in despair. They cried out loudly. Unfortunately, no one responded. Thud, thud, thud. Su Chang took 1 step at a time and dissipated most of the force. However, he wasn't injured. At this moment, the corner of his mouth curled up. He sneered, "You're not waiting for death at home. You actually dare to block my path. Die for me." Boom, boom, boom. Su Chang moved as if he was flying. He leaped up and ruthlessly smashed into the crowd. If this punch landed, no one within 100 miles would be able to survive. Dragonscar's eyes were about to split open. He gripped his spear tightly and charged into the sky again. He used up the last bit of his life essence and completely erupted. His true peak combat strength was revealed. His spear pierced through Su Chang's mecha's iron fist. His aura surged into the sky. His withered body actually blocked all the aftershocks. He didn't hurt anyone. Boom! Su Chang was smashed and flew backward for a few hundred miles. However, the mecha's defense was heaven-defying. He, who was inside, was unharmed. Only the mecha suffered some damage. It didn't affect his combat strength. Dragonscar fell to the ground and knelt on 1 knee. He no longer had any combat strength. His eyes were blurred as he waited for death. Hurry up and escape. There's no chance. Dragonscar shook his head and sat cross-legged on the ground. He couldn't struggle anymore. Living beings were all hot-blooded. The Wen clan had sacrificed too much for the literati star. The living beings were grateful and automatically surrounded Dragonscar. They used their flesh and blood to build a defense. Even the mortal emperors joined in. They were unafraid of death and glared at Su Chang, who was charging towards them. A bunch of ants. Kneel down and submit. I'll spare your lives. Su Chang looked at the ordinary living beings in disdain. There wasn't even a Dao sovereign. How could they fight with him? Tens of thousands of people didn't move. They stood in front of the old man. Interesting. Let's see if your willpower is really that strong. Su Chang kept his mecha. He held a long sword and walked towards the crowd. Poochie, the sword pierced through an old man's body. Su Chang revealed an evil smile. Disperse. I won't kill you. Su Chang teased them, wanting to make Dragonscar despair. However, he was disappointed. No one left. They continued to guard the old man. Poochie. Su Chang was enraged. He stabbed out with his sword again and again, cleaving them apart. Blood flowed like a river and white bones could be seen everywhere. However, no one was willing to retreat, not even a child. They kept looking at him with cold eyes, which angered his perverted heart even more. Go away. You can't defeat him. I'm already old and will die at any moment. It's not worth it for me. Dragonscar felt guilty. He couldn't save the people of the world. Instead, they had to block the sword for him. What an interesting person. Let's see how long you can last. Su Chang pulled out his sword again and slashed at a woman in front of him. Boom. What? A white light flashed from behind. Uncle Wen attacked with his spear and stabbed at Su Chang. Su Chang smiled in disdain. He instantly turned into his armor. He stomped on the ground and punched at the monarch weapon. Uncle Wen was too young and couldn't unleash the power of the monarch weapon. However, he was still sent flying a few hundred meters away. Uncle Wen was sent flying continuously. He couldn't control his body at all. Su Chang was furious. He stood up slowly and started to mobilize his energy. A cannon appeared in front of his chest. The destructive energy made people despair. Uncle Wen, leave this place. Dragon's car roared in anger. It's too late. Su Chang attacked. The energy beam with a destructive aura shattered the ground and blasted towards Uncle Wen. It arrived in front of him in an instant. He didn't even have the chance to dodge. Uncle Wen was in despair. Dragon's car was in despair too. The people of the world were in despair too. However, at this moment, a shadow condensed and blocked in front of Uncle Wen. A look of disdain appeared on his face. He raised his hand slightly and mobilized the profound of heaven and earth. 5 dragons appeared and coiled in front of him. Divine light shot out and blocked the attack. Chapter 432. The 5 dragons coiling the sky directly devoured the energy, shocking Su Chang and everyone else. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and the 5 dragons disappeared. He stepped forward and looked at the mecha with disdain. Su Chang, I didn't go to the military camp to look for you, but you came to me yourself. It would be impolite of me to refuse. Yi Qinghan's smile made many people feel at ease. They felt that they would be safe with him here. You're just an ant. Do you really think that you can stop me just by doing this? Su Chang asked coldly. Actually, in my opinion, aren't you an ant as well? Remove your armor and come with me, Yi Qinghan ordered forcefully. You're courting death. Su Chang leaped up and viciously smashed into Yi Qinghan. Boom. Yi Qinghan transformed into his golden body and grabbed the fist that was descending from the sky. With a flip of his hand, he pressed down on the mecha and forced it to kneel on the ground. The ground cracked and a 1,000-feet-long fissure appeared. No matter how Su Chang struggled, he couldn't move Yi Qinghan's hand. Uncle Wen's eyes widened, and he took a deep breath. He looked at Yi Qinghan's back as if he was a god who could control the world with one hand. Remove your armor. Boom. Yi Qinghan exerted force and pressed Su Chang into the ground. The earth elements rushed over, and the terrifying pressure was enough to crush a quasi-emperor. Su Chang, who was in the mecha, was bleeding from all 7 orifices. The light in his eyes disappeared, and his soul was in a mess. The armor was automatically removed. He was too strong. There was no superfluous words, no superfluous moves. Just that iron hand alone was enough to suppress a terrifying mecha warrior to the point that he could not resist. Uncle Wen swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and his eyes were filled with admiration. The spear in his hand seemed to have sensed something. It trembled slightly and let out a long cry that shook the world. Yi Qinghan lifted Su Chang up and slapped him until he fainted. Then, he turned around and looked at the little fellow in surprise. He realized that the little fellow was actually holding a monarch weapon in his hand. Moreover, his physique was also very strange. The surrounding spiritual energy automatically flew into his body, and even the 5 elements that he controlled were devoured by him. What kind of constitution is this? Yi Qinghan muttered. The physique of devourer. The parrot exclaimed in shock. This little guy has the physique of devourer. Master, you've picked up a treasure. He can definitely corroborate the Tao. There's no doubt about it. Even if there are grand emperors in this world, he can still corroborate the Tao. Woo-woo, delicious food. The little golden crow tore through the void and quietly appeared beside Yi Qinghan. It looked at Uncle Wen with a drooling expression. Delicious my ass. You can't hurt him. If you do, Big Brother won't let you off. The parrot glared angrily at the little golden crow. Uncle Wen's body trembled. When he saw the little golden crow's expression, he couldn't help but take a step back. He gripped his spear tightly and glared at the little golden crow. Fellow Taoist, cough cough cough. Dragon's car coughed up blood and stood up with difficulty. The crowd parted as he walked towards Yi Qinghan. Fellow Taoist, please accept Uncle Wen as your disciple. He definitely won't disgrace Mr.'s teachings. Yi Qinghan looked at the old man in front of him. The old man's flame of life had been completely extinguished. He had only survived because of his last breath. He didn't trust Uncle Wen. If Uncle Wen wasn't handed over to someone he could trust, he wouldn't die. AI. Yi Qinghan sighed. The death of such a hero was too sad. Mister, your eyes are clear and you pity the heavens. You just quietly appeared. There was no need to save anyone, but you still saved Uncle Wen. You are worthy of this old man's trust. Mister, please extend a helping hand so that this old man can leave in peace. Dragon's car bowed and begged. Mister, please teach me. Uncle Wen knelt on one knee. Master, take him in. Hurry up and agree. The parrot said frantically. Yi Qinghan nodded. He waved his hand and helped Uncle Wen and Dragon's car up. Old mister, you can leave in peace. I will definitely nurture him into a true great emperor. Dragon's car smiled. He sat down on the ground, his white hair hanging down. His body transformed into motes of light as he left. Grandfather. Uncle Wen pounced towards Dragonscar's body, but he missed. He was stunned. If your grandfather can leave in peace, then let him leave in peace. If you want to protect your loved ones, then you have to be strong. Otherwise, your loved ones will leave one by one like this. Yi Qinghan coldly said. During these years, just how many loved ones had disappeared from his side? Yi Qinghan was used to seeing the joys and sorrows of separation. His heart was already calm. Whoosh, Yi Qinghan didn't say anything. He grabbed Uncle Wen and Su Chang and rushed into the distance. Countless miles away, in the headquarters of the human race, Yi Qinghan threw Su Chang in front of everyone. He forced the mecha out and let Dong Huangyu pilot it. Use this mecha to send a message. Tell the mecha troops to gather at the designated location. The location is the Dead Star region. That place had been set up as hell. At night, miasma would fill the sky. One wouldn't be able to tell the direction. Even divine sense wouldn't work, let alone the mecha radar. When Su Chang woke up, he was shocked. He roared in anger. Let go of me. You dare to kill my warriors? My race's emperor will definitely destroy the entire universe. I will wait for him to descend. At that time, I will use your mecha troops to deal with him. I wonder how he will feel? Yi Qinghan sneered. Su Chang's body trembled. When he thought of that scene, the mecha race would definitely feel that he had betrayed them. Then his people would all be killed. No, you can't do this. Su Chang roared in shock. Can't do this? Back then, when you massacred the defenseless commoners, did you ever think that you can't do this as well? Yi Qinghan asked in disdain. War is like this. Once it starts, there's nothing that can't be done. I'll let you die at the very end. Once you receive news that your clansmen have been killed, I'll send you on your way to meet your clansmen. Yi Qinghan waved his hand, indicating for him to be taken away. Dong Huangyu rapidly operated his mecha and continuously gave out orders. A large number of mechas gathered and rushed over. Everyone retreated, allowing them to pass unobstructed. The mecha troops didn't have any doubts. Su Chang's prestige was very strong. No one would have thought that he had already been captured. The news that they received was actually a fake order. Hence, the speed of their attack was very fast. After half a day, they arrived at the Dead Star region. A huge planet appeared in front of the mecha troops. There were withered trees everywhere on this planet. White bones could be seen everywhere, and the atmosphere was very gloomy. This is the place. Set up camp here and wait for my king's orders. Although a vice commander was puzzled as to why Su Chang chose this place as his base camp, a subordinate didn't have the qualifications to question his superior. The hierarchy of the mecha civilization was like the cultivation realm of martial cultivators. Boom! Tens of millions of soldiers rushed into the Dead Star. They started to clear the ground and set up camp. Under the scorching sun in the west, the setting sun illuminated the space-time, looking exceptionally beautiful. Danger loomed over the area as fog gradually rose. Are the magnets ready? Yi Qinghan looked at the dead star and asked Lu Aotian. Yes, they are ready. They will be able to suppress them until they can't move. Lu Aotian smiled. At this moment, Roger walked over and cupped his fists. Lords, the magnets are ready. We can carry out the plan at any time. The fog grew thicker and thicker. The commander of the mecha troops felt that something was wrong. He kept on sending messages to ask about Su Chang's whereabouts. Dong Huangyu only replied with a simple sentence, "Wait for orders." Swish, swish, swish. A large number of Lulan soldiers appeared outside the dead star. Every one of them was wearing simple green clothes and didn't even have a sword. They carried a huge piece of magnets and flew towards the dead star. The Lulan army was everywhere. Hundreds of millions of magnets were flying towards the dead star region. When they were 1,000 meters away from the ground, the radars of the mecha troops couldn't detect anything. Everything was covered in fog. Release! Lu Aotian gave the order. The hundreds of millions of soldiers smashed the magnets on their hands onto the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The Death Star mountain crumbled and the earth cracked. The shockwaves shattered the dead trees. Some of the magnets directly smashed into the mecha, pinning it to the ground. Piece by piece, the magnets piled up like a mountain. A huge mountain rose from the ground. The mecha troops couldn't fly up and couldn't move. They could only struggle on the ground. The magnets interfered with everything. Even the energy cannons couldn't be used. The Lulan army retreated, waiting to reap the lives of the mecha troops. Yi Qinghan wasn't in a hurry. He said to everyone, "Wait here. Kill whoever flies up. If they surrender, cripple their cultivation and break their sea of qi. Let them be mortals." After speaking, Yi Qinghan directly returned to the headquarters. Uncle Wen stood alone in a corner with his spear. He was wary of everyone. Even the parrot couldn't get close to him. He grew up with Dragon's Car and always hid. His personality was similar to Emperor Ye's. He was antisocial and lacked trust. Shino Qingyan looked at Uncle Wen curiously. She noticed that the spirit energy in the surroundings was disappearing. Even the essence in the hall was being devoured. She couldn't help but scratch her head and said, "Could he have the devourer physique? Little brother, come over to elder sister. Elder sister will give you some candy." Shino Qingyan took out a saint-grade supreme treasure medicine and tempted. "She is a liar. Don't listen to her. Come over to me. I will give you some flame essence to play with." The little golden crow swallowed the 9th grade flame essence and almost set the hall on fire. "Who are you calling a liar? Don't think that you can spout nonsense just because you are a golden crow. I have seen your ancestors in the past." Shino Qingyan said angrily. "You old witch. You actually lived for so long. Elder brother was right." The little golden crow looked at Shino Qingyan with disdain. Emperor Yi, Medusa, and the others in the hall all spat out their tea. Shino Qingyan, on the other hand, directly vomited blood. Her eyes almost popped out. "Who is your elder brother? Which bastard taught you to speak like that?" Shino Qingyan was so angry that she was trembling. If she wasn't afraid of being ignited by the 9th grade flame essence, she would have rushed over and fought the little golden crow. That Yi Qinghan shook his head and stepped into the hall. He sat beside Emperor Yi and looked at Uncle Wen, who was standing in the corner. He stretched out his hand and said, "Uncle Wen, come over here. Pay your respects to your master." Uncle Wen seemed to have a lot of faith in Yi Qinghan. Back then, the sight of Yi Qinghan's back had shocked him. Yi Qinghan had pressed the powerful mecha to the ground with one hand. A man like that had always been his dream. Uncle Wen came in front of Yi Qinghan and knelt on the ground. He kowtowed 3 times and said respectfully, "Disciple Uncle Wen greets master." Chapter 433. Yi Qinghan looked at the respectful Uncle Wen, and a faint smile appeared on his face as he reached out to help him up. "This is your senior sister. You can trust her and respect her from now on. She will be responsible for teaching you. Do you understand?" Yi Qinghan pointed at Emperor Yi and said, "Uncle Wen greets senior sister." Uncle Wen looked at the peerless beauty in front of him. Her white hair draped over her shoulders. Her smile was as gentle as a mother's, making people feel at ease. He could not help but want to get closer to her. Yes, Uncle Wen. Don't be shy in the future. The insane sect is your home. When the war is over, I will introduce you to your senior brothers and sisters. Emperor Yi knew Uncle Wen's identity and felt a sense of closeness. Perhaps it was because they were in the same boat. He rubbed Uncle Wen's head and said softly. Uncle Wen pursed his lips. He wanted to dodge, but in the end he accepted Emperor Ye's pity. I don't know the secret techniques of the Wen clan. I have nothing to teach you. Yi Qinghan looked at Uncle Wen and thought about his secret techniques. He found that the battle formula was very suitable for him, especially with the Tiger Stripe's soul-seizing spear. He said, I will teach you the two most powerful secret techniques, wind mark and the battle formula. I promised your grandfather that I will train you with all my strength. Don't disappoint me and don't disgrace the glory of Emperor Wen Shang. Yes, master. Uncle Wen held his spear tightly and bowed. If you want to cultivate, you must first train your body. Training your body is an extremely painful process. You must be prepared. Yi Qinghan stood up and brought Uncle Wen out of the hall to the martial arts field. Emperor Yi, Shenong Qingyan and the rest followed. I have a saint-level body training divine pill. Do you want it? Shenong Qingyan took out a divine pill. It was golden and filled with divinity. It was definitely a priceless treasure. Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. Body training divine pill. This was the best thing for training one's body. Coupled with the fire tempering, Uncle Wen's body would definitely reach its peak state quickly. Why aren't you thanking the fairy? Yi Qinghan unceremoniously took the godly medicine and gestured to Uncle Wen. Uncle Wen hurriedly said, Thank you, fairy. Shenong Qingyan smiled proudly and looked at Emperor Yi provocatively, as if she was trying to steal his favor. Emperor Ye's lips curled up. With a wave of her jade-like hand, the divine zither appeared in her hand. She sat cross-legged on the ground and murmured, Senior sister doesn't have anything to give you. I'll just give you a song. I have a body tempering technique that can temper every bone, every muscle, and every cell in the body. It can increase the flexibility of the body to the maximum. When attacking an opponent, you can freely change the direction of the attack and change the moves as smoothly as flowing water. It can increase a cultivator's combat strength by 3 times. Medusa also stepped forward and took the initiative to express her goodwill to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. Uncle Wen was really lucky to be able to receive the nurturing of 3 great beauties. Crimson Body Tempering Technique. It is not correct to call it a secret technique. It is just a kind of dance that can soften the bones, just like a snake that can twist at will. Medusa looked at Uncle Wen and said confidently, An ordinary person's bones have already been shaped and cannot be cultivated. For example, Brother Yi. Even if his talent is heaven-defying, after cultivating to this realm, he can no longer cultivate the crimson body tempering technique. However, Uncle Wen is different. He is young and his cultivation is weak. Everything can be reshaped. I don't have any magic power, but I can still do these movements. After Medusa finished speaking, she began to dance her body. Her body was like water, soft and boneless. The movements of her enchanting body caused Yi Qinghan's blood to churn and his dragon blood to boil. It was too terrifying. Medusa's brows were naturally formed. Even if she had lost her magic power, if she wanted to confuse people, it would be a piece of cake. Medusa's body was like a snake. She could change her posture at will. Her posture looked extremely strange, but it contained the understanding and use of every bone. With a light push of her palm, the seemingly weak Medusa could cause spatial fluctuations. This was the explosive power of her physical body. Emperor Yi and Shenong Qingyan were dumbfounded. This kind of woman who was charming to the bone made them envious and jealous. If everyone could be like Medusa, what man in the world couldn't they conquer? Yi Qinghan shrugged. This kind of posture was impossible for him to do. Emperor Yi and Shenong Qingyan could learn it, and so could Uncle Wen. Although Shenong Qingyan and Emperor Ye's cultivation were strong, they were still women. Their bodies and bones were soft to begin with. They were naturally very compatible with this kind of body tempering technique. Soon, The two of them started to learn. The beginning was very painful and difficult. Not many women were like Medusa, dancing the secret technique so beautifully and so charmingly. So enchanting. Uncle Wen also started to learn. At first, he was very unfamiliar with it. Coupled with the fact that this secret technique was too charming, he was a little embarrassed. Yi Qinghan nodded and encouraged, "This kind of secret technique is hard to come by. First, soften your body. Later, I will help you temper your body." Yi Qinghan then left the training ground. He looked at the four people dancing in the distance. He nodded slightly. Then Roger came with the order. "Sir, the rear has been cleaned up. 8 million were captured alive. There are still 6 million intact mechas. The rest were smashed." Roger said regretfully. "And destroy the sea of qi of all the captives and send them to the various planets." Yi Qinghan said decisively, "As for the mechas, hand them over to the strongest people in Lu Lan's army. Let them learn how to operate them. 1 month later, we will impersonate Su Chang and return to the mechanical civilization's star field." Roger was excited. Such an important task was given to him. Yi Qinghan obviously trusted Lu Lan very much. This might be the difference between a direct descendant and a collateral descendant. After this matter is done, return to the imperial domain and report to the Kuang sect. Yi Qinghan nodded and said. Roger's eyes flashed. He bowed and left. Half a day later, all the strong cultivators returned. Seeing the few people cultivating in the training ground, the female cultivators rushed to the training ground like crazy and started to cultivate as well. Only Xia Ziluo snorted in disdain. In her eyes, there was no such thing as enchanting. Women should not lose to men. Jin Yen and Zi Fei all followed after him and began to imitate him. Sikong Qingjuan's eyes never left Jin Yen. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly. Now that the Forbidden Land was basically useless, the mechanical civilization would soon be eliminated. The endless universe was about to return to peace. The Tao proving contest would not affect the Kuang sect. Therefore, it was time for some people in the Kuang sect to get married. It was also time to announce Emperor Ye's matter. What do you think? Do you like it? Yi Qinghan put his arm around Sikong Qingjuan's shoulder and deliberately teased him. What do you mean by like it? What do you mean? Sikong Qingjun pretended to be stupid and did not dare to admit it. Although he was so old, he still did not know what to do about this matter. Cut the crap. I've known you for so long. I know what you're thinking. If you like it, don't pretend. Do you want a girl to take the initiative? Yi Qinghan said disdainfully. Ahem. Sikong Qingjun was embarrassed. Everyone laughed at him. Shirgu walked over with a wretched look on his face. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said, I also like someone. Why don't you set us up? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. Seeing this expression, he knew that it was definitely not something good. He asked, Who is it? Your sister, my brother-in-law. Ha! Shirgu laughed. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He shrugged and said, If you have the ability, then go after her. If you do, I'll hold a dual cultivation ceremony for you. Everyone laughed. Yi Mingxi had been in seclusion for a long time. Besides occasionally coming out to play, she was nowhere to be seen. Everyone, are you interested in cultivating the Devourer's body together? Yi Qinghan brought everyone to the martial stage. He pointed at Uncle Wen and said, Devourer's body. Everyone was surprised. Many people had never heard of this system, but there were also some people who understood it. And because they understood it, they were shocked. Yi Qinghan smiled. He did not explain. He placed a body-refining divine pill into Uncle Wen's body. Uncle Wen quickly swallowed all the medicinal properties, cleansing his muscles and marrow, and condensing his blood. Mobilize your true essence. Condense your body. Purify your blood and true essence. Yi Qinghan waved his hands and a fire surrounded Uncle Wen. Yi Qinghan thought that Uncle Wen would scream in pain, but he was disappointed. Uncle Wen's body had actually swallowed his flame essence. Yi Qinghan was speechless. He mobilized some swelling earth. As soon as it touched Uncle Wen, it was swallowed. There was nothing that Uncle Wen couldn't swallow. Yi Qinghan became more and more shocked. He casually took out a quasi-emperor weapon material and placed it in Uncle Wen's hand. He said, "Let me see you swallow it." Uncle Wen grabbed the material and desperately tried to absorb its essence. Although the effect wasn't great, the essence was still desperately drilling into his body. Yi Qinghan nodded. Uncle Wen's cultivation was too low. It was normal for the 5th grade flame essence that he had just used to be swallowed. After all, it couldn't harm him. As for the swelling earth, it wasn't harmful to humans, so Uncle Wen could also swallow it. As for the more powerful materials, the process was much slower. If there are any low-level materials that you don't need, give them to Uncle Wen. He has a supreme treasure devourer body. His cultivation is too low, so he needs a massive amount of low-level resources. Yi Qinghan looked at everyone and took the initiative to ask for them. Everyone wasn't stingy. They naturally gave him a meeting gift. All the supreme treasures below 7th grade were thrown over, filling up the entire martial stage. These resources were enough to form a powerful army. "Uncle Wen, devour all of these and then come find me," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Uncle Wen's eyes were filled with light. When he was young, he didn't have any resources and had to rely on swallowing the spiritual qi of small animals. Now that Yi Qinghan had provided him with so many resources, it would be hard for him not to improve. "Thank you, Master." "Thank you, seniors." Uncle Wen said respectfully. I finally have a junior brother." Zi Fei jumped out happily. She was the youngest in the Kuang sect. Now that there was an even younger one, she was overflowing with motherly love. Yi Qinghan brought everyone away and discussed how to quickly deal with the mechanical civilization. "Mr. Yi, in order to reduce unnecessary losses, I feel that we should first capture the leader. Send a large number of experts to infiltrate the main star of the mechanical civilization and directly capture the emperor of the mechanical civilization. This is the fastest way to solve the problem," Dong Huangyu suggested. He really didn't want to directly start a massacre. The death rate would reach a terrifying number, and it might even affect the civilians. Chapter 434. Dong Huangyu's suggestion made everyone's eyes light up. The endless universe could no longer withstand any more twists and turns. If they could end the battle quickly, that would be the best choice. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice, "Use Su Chang's name to send a message to the mechanical civilization. Tell them that you have captured several top experts from the insane sect alive. Tell them that the others have fled. Brother Lu and the others will lead Lu Lan's troops and pretend to flee. Roger will be in charge of the mecha troops and pretend to be their troops. All the super experts will follow the troops and escort me, Qingyu, and the others back to the mechanical civilization. Mr. Yi, if you capture the emperor of the mechanical civilization alive and defeat the mechanical civilization, how will you treat the mechanical civilization?" Dong Huangyu was a little worried. After all, the two civilizations were incompatible. Although he did not like the way the mechanical civilization did things, it was still a mechanical civilization. "All sinners will be sent to the immemorial purgatory. You will be the judge. I will not interfere with the mechanical civilization. I hope that the mechanical civilization can develop normally. However, do not treat the martial arts civilization as an enemy." Yi Qinghan reassured Dong Huangyu. Dong Huangyu looked at Yi Qinghan gratefully. The world he wanted, his father could not give it to him, but Yi Qinghan could. The plan was quickly implemented. Everything was in order. The mecha troops chased after the martial arts elites led by Lu Outyin and fled. Yi Qinghan was chained by several black gold chains and pulled by more than 100 mechas. He could not resist at all. Other than the higher-ups, no one knew that this plan was a trap. Therefore, the endless universe fell into a panic. Many people moved and fled to the depths of the universe. When the emperor of the mechanical civilization learned that Su Chang had captured Yi Qinghan and the other experts from the insane sect, he immediately asked him to retreat and protect Yi Qinghan back to the mechanical civilization. Everything went smoothly. His deep trust in Su Chang caused him to fall into a crisis. Emperor Yi brought Medusa and the others and fled with the army. Uncle Wen was also taken away. Only Jian Chenxue, Xia Ziluo, and the other super experts followed. The mecha troops escorted Kuang Zong and the others to the mechanical civilization. With the imperial emperor's orders, they ran all the way to the center of the mechanical civilization without any checks. Su Chang's mecha was the clearance document. Who would have thought that Su Chang had already been captured? On the main planet, the emperor of the mechanical civilization had already prepared a celebratory feast in advance, waiting for the hero's triumphant return. Report. King Su has arrived at the main planet, waits call, a scout reported. Order the military to let them pass. The mechanical civilization's emperor was excited. Now that the God creation plan could be carried out, Su Chang had sent him a high-grade bloodline. This made him a little dizzy. Sure enough, Su Chang's army galloped all the way to the imperial city. The army set up camp, and 300 mecha warriors escorted Yi Qinghan into the city. Yi Qinghan's body was in tatters, and he was in a sorry state. His Shen gold chains were almost broken, and he attracted a lot of attention. The emperor led troops and personally came to welcome the hero personally. Minister Su, you've worked hard. The emperor of the mechanical civilization laughed. To serve the emperor, I'm willing to die 1,000 times. Dong Huangyu changed his voice and sounded a little excited. It was very similar to Su Chang. Even if there were some flaws, the trembling of excitement was enough to hide everything. Even if Su Chang had made a great contribution, he would still be this excited. Dong Huangyu's understanding of people's state of mind was very accurate and did not attract anyone's attention. Go back to the palace and rest. Tomorrow I will reward you well. The emperor of the mechanical civilization nodded slightly and waved his hand. Soon, Su Chang threw out Jian Chenxue, Gu Qingyu, Tan Wuxie, Nye Tian, Zitian, and the others from the insane sect. Their sea of energy was sealed, so they were not seriously injured. Xia Ziluo and the other mecha went straight to Su Chang's palace. As soon as they entered, they controlled everyone and killed them, replacing them with their own people. There were no hidden dangers in the palace. The 300 mecha soldiers were all top-notch superclass. Shen Ke, Qitian Monkey King, and the others were all here. They were hiding in the palace, waiting for the right time. In the emperor's hall, the emperor of the mechanical civilization looked at Yi Qinghan and laughed. Yi Qinghan, I have heard of your great name. I hope Mr. Yi won't blame me for inviting you here today. Yi Qinghan snorted and said, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Since I was captured, consider me useless. No. I have specially investigated Mr. Ye's combat strength. Even Su Chang praised you and said that if it wasn't for the successful sneak attack, we wouldn't have been able to take you down. The emperor of the mechanical civilization said happily. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Could it be that you want me to surrender? Yi Qinghan was curious. This emperor of the mechanical civilization didn't seem to have the intention to kill him. Hence, he tried to probe. Such a good bloodline. Wouldn't it be a pity to kill you? The emperor of the mechanical civilization clapped his hands and more than 10 powerful men in black appeared. All of them were existences whose physical bodies had reached the pinnacle. Take them to the testing grounds. I want to remodel as soon as possible. The emperor of the mechanical civilization took the lead and stepped out of the hall. He led everyone to the testing grounds outside the palace. Inside the testing grounds, there were eerie white bones everywhere. There were blood troughs everywhere and all kinds of experimental equipment. Yi Qinghan glanced around and was very curious about what these people were doing. Hence, he kept his patience and didn't make a move. Very quickly, everyone was taken to a separate sealed space. There was a huge pool that was very clean. All kinds of equipment had never been seen before. Yi Qinghan guessed the use of the equipment based on the words of the mechanical civilization. He couldn't help but be surprised that this so-called mechanical civilization was so powerful. They didn't need to cultivate and could forcefully seize the bloodline of special constitutions and quickly evolve to the overlord rank. Sure enough, a large group of researchers came forward. When they saw Yi Qinghan and the others who were full of vitality, they were immediately excited. Their perverted hearts didn't treat them as humans at all. They treated them as lab rats. Are these people enough? The emperor asked excitedly. My emperor, it's enough. The blood of these people is enough to support you to recover to the peak and grow into an immortal comparable to a great emperor. An old man with a face full of wrinkles looked at Yi Qinghan and the others with a covetous face. Good. When can we create a god? The emperor asked in a deep voice. Today. The technology is now mature. It won't delay your morning court session tomorrow. The old man said respectfully. Then let's begin. The emperor said impatiently. Yi Qinghan understood everything. He directly broke the seal on his sea of qi and used the black gold chain to lock the emperor's throat. He then slammed his palm on the emperor's back. The terrifying 5 elements poured into his body. He could kill the mechanical civilization's emperor with just a thought. Yi Qinghan's speed was extremely fast. Even the emperor couldn't react, let alone the others. Gu Qingyu and the others broke free from the chains and directly killed everyone in the laboratory. The emperor was stunned. What? You think Su Chang can really catch me? You are looking down on martial cultivators too much. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Su Chang betrayed me. The emperor was furious. However, he was frightened by Yi Qinghan's cold gaze. You guys are really daring. You dare to enter the mechanical civilization's main domain. Even if you catch this emperor, you will die here. Let me go and this emperor will grant you a lifetime of wealth and glory. The emperor threatened recklessly. You are looking down on us too much. If I wasn't fully prepared, do you think I would stake everything on this one throw? Yi Qinghan laughed. His facial muscles began to change. Soon, he turned into the mechanical emperor. Even his voice was exactly the same. You are a god. The emperor was shocked. He didn't know what to do when he saw that the person in front of him had turned into himself. I am not a god, but I am not someone you can deal with. Yi Qinghan pointed his finger at the emperor's forehead and forcibly stole his memory. He knew that the 9-star mecha was completed, but the materials were insufficient. There was only one mecha and only the emperor could use it. He couldn't help but sneer. Seal this place. I will go and get the 9-star mecha. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. He directly chopped off the emperor's hand and sealed it. He walked out of the laboratory and ordered no one to go near it. He went straight to the treasury and opened the armory. The 9-star mecha was placed in the deepest part. It was like a golden battle armor that could be used as an armor. Even if an ordinary person used it, they would have the battle strength of a great emperor. A true peak great emperor that didn't know fatigue. Yi Qinghan used the emperor's hand to change part of the program. Then he put on the 9-star mecha. The mecha was cumbersome. Even if it was a soft armor, it still weighed 1,000,000 jin. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to use it. Even the emperor couldn't wear it for a long time. Hence, it had been placed in the armory. Who would have thought that Yi Qinghan would benefit from it? Yi Qinghan transformed the mecha into a soft armor. It wasn't light, but it didn't affect his battle strength. It was just right for him. After getting used to it, he didn't have any problems using the mecha. He left the armory and used the emperor's identity to order all the military leaders to bring over a large number of files. He wanted to investigate the character of these people. However, he found that not many of them were normal. Bloated organizations and unscrupulous officials. Each one was worse than the last. Boom. Yi Qinghan made a move without any warning. He crushed all the military leaders with one palm. Blood mist filled the palace and made everyone panic. Order all the captains to gather in the palace. The emperor's order was quickly transmitted to the various divisions. Dong Huangyu was summoned in his true body. Thousands of people were sent to the Great Hall. Yi Qinghan looked down at everyone. This attitude of being in control of everything made him feel a little smug. He couldn't help but shake his head and mumble to himself, no wonder he is so arrogant. So, it's all because of the throne. The captains were all people stained with blood. Yi Qinghan basically didn't want to investigate and directly killed them. After that, he summoned the Kiliarchs, then the Centurions. The higher-ups were all killed by Yi Qinghan one by one. Blood flowed like a river. Everyone was panicking. The military had a complete change of blood. After that, an order was sent out that made the lower ranks of the military excited. Finally, the morale of the military was stabilized. The order to select a high-ranking official suitable to manage the military was sent to the various divisions. The right to choose was given to the lower ranks of the military. With the support of the military, the chaotic situation of the mechanical civilization finally calmed down. Dong Huangyu, this unfamiliar name exploded in the military. The commander-in-chief of the military was actually a stranger. Very soon, Dong Huangyu's identity was investigated. His old subordinates were extremely excited and all came to visit him. Chapter 435. On the second day, the imperial palace announced that the emperor was in seclusion. The fourth prince would be the crown prince with Dong Huangyu as his assistant. The seventh prince was ordered to return immediately. Everything was going according to plan. In fact, Yi Qinghan had left the mechanical civilization's star field long ago. Everything was handed over to Dong Huangyu. The fourth prince was just a puppet. The military was controlled by Dong Huangyu alone. The newly promoted people in the military were all from the martial cultivation civilization. The seventh prince was indeed smart. After he received the order, he knew that something had happened to the mechanical civilization or that the emperor was going to deal with him. Thus, he directly brought over 20 people and hid in the mountains, sneaking into a sect that had a history of 10,000 years. He started cultivating from the bottom and improved very quickly. He was deeply loved by the sect. Yi Qinghan didn't pay too much attention to the seventh prince. Instead, he led everyone back to the center of the imperial region. Right now, there wasn't a single person left in the imperial region. Everyone had fled to the back. Only a portion of the ancient killing gods were left to guard the ancestral land. Ka. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and looked to the west. He said to Emperor Yi, "You guys bring people to guard the ancestral land. I will go to the Forbidden Land and see if I can kill Lin Chenfeng." With the 9-star mecha armor protecting his body, divine light soared into the sky. With the reincarnation mirror in his hand, Yi Qinghan fought against Lin Chenfeng in his peak state. If he could kill Lin Chenfeng, the endless universe would be at peace. "It's too dangerous for you to go alone. I will join forces with you." Emperor Yi was worried and wanted to go together. "No, your current strength is not enough. Also, I am only going to probe. If there's a chance, I will fight. If there's no chance, I will retreat." Yi Qinghan shook his head. "You stay behind and protect Medusa. I can't guarantee that others won't do anything to her." The little golden crow followed along. The west of Emperor Abyss City was completely destroyed. Corpses were everywhere, and death chi permeated the air. The Forbidden Land was completely destroyed. Countless divine herbs flew into the sky. The Forbidden Land could no longer be called a Forbidden Land. At most, it could be considered a withered world that floated in the air. Lin Chenfeng seized all the divine herbs that didn't escape. For his own sake, he didn't even care about Kuang Shatian and Lu Chushua. He directly devoured all the divine herbs, restoring his vitality to its peak state. Looking at Yi Qinghan from afar, a sinister smile appeared on his face. "Mecha! A 9-star mecha! After 1,000,000 years, it has actually appeared again." Lin Chenfeng stepped onto the edge of the forbidden area and stared coldly at Yi Qinghan. When he saw Zhong Kuang and the reincarnation mirror, he confirmed his identity and said calmly, "Yi Qinghan, you want to kill me? Use your brain before you do anything, unless you want us all to die, including all the living beings in the endless plains." Yi Qinghan stared at him from a distance. He retracted his mecha and looked at Lin Chenfeng with a frown. "I'm not from this plane. In the endless plains, the Great Emperor Realm is the highest realm. Once you surpass the Great Emperor Realm, you must leave this plane and head to the middle plane. Otherwise, the endless plains will collapse. Since I'm standing in the Forbidden Land, I won't affect the endless space. However, once I step out of this plane and use power that surpasses the Great Emperor Realm, the endless space will collapse instantly. All the stars in this space will be affected. Do you understand?" Lin Chenfeng said coldly, "So if you want to fight, I'll play with you. However, Don't blame me for not warning you when the plane collapses. Yi Qinghan was a little doubtful of this news. However, the parrot rushed out of his body. Although it wanted to kill this bastard, it had to remind Yi Qinghan, he's right. Once his main body comes out, the great Tao of space here will be completely chaotic. There will be no order, and the entire endless planes will collapse. I don't want to fight with you for the time being and waste my life force. Let's talk about cooperation. If you help me leave the endless planes and head to the mythical plane, I'll give you an opportunity, Lin Chenfeng said calmly. I'm not interested. I can prove my Tao by myself. I don't need your help, Yi Qinghan replied coldly. However, if you want to enter the higher planes, you still need to cooperate with me. Now that this plane has been sealed by the mythical plane, unless you want to stop at the Great Emperor realm and become an overlord. Lin Chenfeng's lips curled up. He understood people like Yi Qinghan too well. They were obsessed with the pinnacle of the Great Tao and would definitely not be satisfied with the Great Emperor realm. Yi Qinghan sneered and said disdainfully, "You're not the only one who knows about the mythical plane. Medusa and the devouring spirit condor can enter the mythical plane with me. Why would I need to cooperate with you?" "Ha, ignorant child. You're courting death by cooperating with Medusa. You might as well cooperate with me." Lin Chenfeng warned coldly, "I think Medusa is indeed in the process of evolving. That fucking flight is because you're helping her from behind, right? So what if that's the case?" Yi Qinghan sneered. The tactic that day was the most classic tactic. It allowed the dead spirit emperor to counterattack the forbidden land. Both sides suffered great losses. The human race did not even need to lift a finger. Revenge was taken. You really don't know what's good for you. If you know what Medusa did in the mythical plane, you'll know how stupid you are now. She was also in the same state back then. She pretended to be pitiful and seduced a young master from an aristocratic family. He then hid her for a year. In the end, she succeeded in evolving, and the first thing she did was to slaughter the entire aristocratic family. She almost destroyed half of the plane. Lin Chenfeng was indifferent as he recalled what happened back then. He couldn't help but tremble as he said hoarsely, "Did she tell you that she could control herself and would never hurt you?" Yi Qinghan's heart was in a mess. Medusa was like a ticking time bomb that could explode the endless universe into smithereens at any time. Even if you don't say it, I know. She was exactly the same as she was back then. She tricked that young master until he wanted to dig out his heart and record his happiness on a metal scroll. But what happened in the end? She was much crueler than us. At least I wasn't interested in collapsing this space. But she definitely was. Lin Chenfeng continued. Yi Qinghan frowned and asked coldly, "Why didn't Medusa collapse the endless plane when she entered the endless space? Is her strength inferior to a great emperor? Did you see any fluctuation of laws when she appeared? Did she dare to use strength that surpassed a great emperor? She didn't dare to. If the plane collapsed, she would have no place to stand and she wouldn't be able to leave the plane. When it was time for her to evolve, she could only wait for death. But after this evolution, she might be able to leave. At that time, the first to die would be the people from the endless plane. The second to die would be me." Lin Chenfeng explained. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and clenched his fists. He stared at Lin Chenfeng and asked seriously, "How can one leave the endless plane?" "Strength, speed, invincible strength, and the speed of lightning," Lin Chenfeng explained without hesitation. "You can't do it with your strength?" Yi Qinghan was surprised. This old monster's strength was already extraordinary, but he still couldn't leave the endless plane. The damned mythical plane has set up a sealing formation at the entrance. With my strength alone, I can't break it. Even with my two friends, we still can't break free. We need one more person to be 100% complete. Moreover, once the seal is broken, we will have to face the enemies of the mythical plane. We don't have absolute confidence that we can succeed. Therefore, we need you to be crowned emperor. You have to cooperate with me before we can leave." Lin Chenfeng stared at Yi Qinghan and said with anticipation, "I'll think about it." Yi Qinghan didn't immediately reject or agree. He prepared to leave. "Yi Qinghan, you must listen to me regarding Medusa. Otherwise, it'll be too late for regrets. Lin Chenfeng roared emotionally. Yi Qinghan's breath stagnated. Lin Chenfeng's expression didn't seem to be fake. His heart was in a mess. He didn't want to make things difficult for Emperor Yi, and he also hoped that he could change Medusa. He didn't want to kill Lin Chenfeng, but if his expectations were wrong, the consequences would be unbearable. I know what I'm doing. But you better not leave the forbidden area. After I've confirmed my Tao, I'll cooperate with you. Once we leave the forbidden area, our cooperation will end. I can also enter the mythical plane alone. Yi Qinghan warned coldly as his figure slowly retreated. The dense aura of death covered the sky and earth, sweeping up thousands of miles of yellow sand. The chill was bone-chilling. Yi Qinghan disappeared into the yellow sand. Master, how do you plan to deal with Medusa? The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly, hoping that Yi Qinghan would listen to it. She saved my son, so I owe her a favor. Repaying kindness with enmity is not something I can accept. Yi Qinghan quickly stepped into the sovereign domain, moving faster and faster. The parrot sighed and could only give up trying to persuade him. The little golden crow didn't understand. It only knew that Medusa was very tasty. If it could eat her, its cultivation would definitely increase greatly. However, it didn't want to go against Yi Qinghan's wishes, so it didn't say anything and just flew silently. Don't worry, I'll definitely find a foolproof plan. Even if she wants to harm people, I can stop her. Yi Qinghan comforted. The sovereign domain welcomed its first great victory in 1,000,000 years. The endless universe cheered and roared, establishing an immortal position. Even the myriad races established an immortal position for Yi Qinghan. Bits of faith power gathered, but Yi Qinghan didn't know how to use it. The endless dynasty didn't fall apart because of the arrival of victory. They just delegated power to each other appropriately. As long as it didn't endanger the foundation of the endless dynasty, they were allowed to develop. A large number of experts fell, leaving behind countless opportunities for the true elites to rise. Yi Qinghan didn't interfere with the rising elites. Instead, he quietly disappeared with Emperor Yi and the others. Even Gu Qingyu and the others didn't know where Yi Qinghan went with Emperor Yi and Medusa. A small border starfield, Owl Dragon region, Owl War Planet. Yi Qinghan brought the two of them to Owl War Planet. Looking at the boundless vitality of the planet and the countless lotus leaves swaying in the river, a sad smile appeared on his face. Now that he stood at the peak of the endless dynasty, it was a pity that his family wasn't here. He didn't even have a relative. He didn't know who to tell. Along the river, the three of them strolled among the dancing flowers. When the spring breeze blew, the flowers flew and butterflies danced. The water flowed and small fish swam against the current, pleasing to the eye. The little golden crow sped through the air and tumbled, creating huge waves. Then, the parrot also rushed out. The multicolored snake swam among the flowers and soon disappeared. Emperor Yi and Medusa kept following Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi didn't think much of it and just quietly accompanied them. However, Medusa could feel the aura of death filling her eyes. She knew that Yi Qinghan wanted to kill her. Medusa, thank you for everything you've done for Owl War Planet, Yi Qinghan said hoarsely. Are you going to thank me or kill me? Medusa asked in a muffled voice. Chapter 436. Are you going to thank me or kill me? A crisp sound broke the peace on Owl War Star and stirred up a murderous aura. Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly, and his black hair fluttered. He turned around indifferently and looked directly at Medusa behind him. His deep eyes were like black holes that could steal one's soul. Emperor Ye's expression changed slightly. He had never seen Yi Qinghan act like this before. I don't want to kill you. Yi Qinghan sighed softly. Killing Medusa was a difficult decision. Not only had she helped Emperor Yi, but she had also helped him change Owl War Star. He would not hesitate to kill a scourge like her, but he did not want to hurt her and then hurt Emperor Yi. But you've already made up your mind to kill me, haven't you? Medusa's lips curled up as she asked calmly. Medusa had been very uneasy before. She had even taken the initiative to teach Uncle Wen, hoping to please Yi Qinghan. Only he could protect her now. However, seeing that Yi Qinghan had already made up his mind, she was no longer as worried. Emperor Yi held Medusa's hand tightly. He could feel her despair and trembling before her death. He could also feel her hatred for Yi Qinghan. His heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. He had only acknowledged 2 people in his life, and now they were going to kill each other. How could he bear it? Master! Emperor Yi pursed his lips and begged. His eyes were red, and even the heavens would pity him. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly as he looked at the magnificent owl war star. No matter how beautiful the scenery was, it could not calm his manic Tao heart. My son, there's no need to beg him. If such a cold-hearted person had to choose between you and the endless plains, he would definitely choose the endless plains without hesitation. Such a vicious man is not worthy of your love. Medusa's eyes were filled with murderous intent as she spoke coldly. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Don't put on an act to disgust me. If you don't kill me today, I'll definitely kill you in the future. Yi Qinghan stared coldly at Medusa. He clenched his fists, and lightning surrounded him. Emperor Yi stepped forward and stood between them. His attitude was very firm as he said, Master, my sister once asked me what I would do if someone wanted to kill her. I said that I would stand in front of them without hesitation. This is my promise. I will fulfill my promise, just like how she protected me back then. You are my master who has protected me since I was young, and you are also the man I love the most to this day. I will not fight back. It's very quiet. My son, what nonsense are you talking about? Yi Qinghan scolded angrily. His breathing was a little ragged. If it weren't for Emperor Yi, he would rather bear the crime of being ungrateful than leave behind a scourge that could destroy the entire universe at any time. Master, don't you believe me? I can feel the purity of my sister's heart. She is not someone who would kill indiscriminately. The people she killed all deserved it. There is no doubt about this. No one with evil intentions can dance gracefully under my guqin like a celestial spirit. Perhaps the divine bird misunderstood Big Sister, and the old monsters in the Forbidden Land are clearly slandering Big Sister. Why didn't you investigate this thoroughly? Emperor Ye's tears fell like rain as he knelt and begged Yi Futian. Medusa glared hatefully at Yi Qinghan. She reached out to grab Emperor Yi and tried to pull him up. Yi Qinghan shook his head. Medusa was the smartest at this moment. The more she acted like this, the more Emperor Yi would not understand him if he killed Medusa. He would hate him even more. He might even distance himself from him and cut off all contact with him. He understood Emperor Ye's temperament the best. Medusa, can you tell me who Yun Tian is? Yi Qinghan grabbed Zhong Kuang and asked in a deep voice. His voice was already hoarse. At the mention of Yun Tian, Medusa's body trembled and she took several steps back. She looked at Yi Qinghan with a pale face and asked hoarsely, Who told you this name? Don't ask me who told me. I just want to know. Tell me, tell my son, who is Yun Tian? How did he die? How did his family perish? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Medusa pulled Emperor Yi up and found a flat rock to sit on. Her eyes were blurred as she looked at the lotus leaves in the lake in front of her. Sorrow pervaded the air. Her bleak and lonely figure caused Yi Qinghan's heart to stop. It was as if he had seen the most tragic story in the world. Yun Tian was the first person I met. Yun Tian was the first human I knew and believed in. He was an elite of the mythological plane. He took 1,000 years to prove his Tao, and 2,000 years to obtain his title. He was given the title Emperor Yun by the Venerable One. He was pursued by countless female cultivators, and he was deeply loved by the female cultivators. That year, I was facing my 3rd evolution, but no place was safe. I fled in a daze, hoping to find a pure land. However, there were experts who knew that I was about to evolve, and they pursued me relentlessly. I was injured and fled from the main plane, and fell into a valley where I officially began my evolution. I lost my cultivation, but I still retained my eternal beauty and enchanting face. Just as I was on the edge of my life, I accidentally met him. He treated me like his true love, and he said that he would protect me. No matter how many enemies there were, no one would be able to step over his body and harm me alive. Medusa looked at the lake and muttered to herself. Her eyes were filled with gratitude and happiness. I believed him. At that moment, I really didn't have any enmity towards humans or other powerful life forms. I only wanted to quietly be his little woman. After my evolution succeeded, I would wander the world with him in search of the supreme heavenly Tao and help him attain immortality. At that moment, I followed him back to the Yun clan and took care of his daily needs as a maidservant. I also told him that we could only dual cultivate and get married after a year. He agreed and didn't make things difficult for me. I really wanted to tell him my true identity and hoped that he would continue to love and protect me like before. I always felt that lying to him was a sin and not true love. Emperor Yi seemed to be able to feel the sorrow and despair in her heart. He couldn't help but hug Medusa tightly from behind, hoping to give her some warmth. Yi Qinghan calmly listened and didn't interrupt her. He only looked at her lonely back and wanted to reach out to comfort her, but his hands stopped in midair. That year was truly long. It was torment and waiting. Every day in my dreams, I trembled and cried helplessly. Every morning when I woke up, I wanted to go find him and cry on his shoulder. Just like now, I don't know when a divine weapon hanging above my head will fall on my body. He took care of me very well. He personally cooked for me every day and didn't let me do anything. He knew that I was afraid of seeing strangers and didn't let anyone near the courtyard. The time for me to recover my magic power was getting closer and closer, but the days were getting harder and harder. Every day felt like a year. I thought I would be able to get through it, but paper can't wrap fire. He found out from his family that I was Medusa, the vicious Medusa. At first, he didn't believe me and began to test me. In the end, I couldn't help but trust him too much and told him the truth on the last day. He and his family didn't hesitate to raise their blades, just like you. Medusa didn't turn around, but she knew that Yi Qinghan was holding frenzy. Her feelings back then were just like now, even more terrified and angry. Boom! Frenzy fell out of Yi Qinghan's hands and smashed into the ground, up to the hilt. The corner of his mouth twitched and the tip of his nose felt a little sour. At the time, I looked at him in a daze. I couldn't believe that the man who raised his blade in front of me was the man I loved, the only man I trusted and acknowledged. Medusa's heart was filled with resentment and hatred. Although she couldn't do anything about it, it caused her hair to shoot up into the sky. This sort of resentment that came from the depths of her heart couldn't be faked. I thought that was the most despairing. On the last day of my successful evolution, I died under the butcher's blade of the man I loved the most. What could be more despairing than this? But I underestimated the greed of humans, underestimated their desires. When he learned that forcefully stealing my Yin essence could help him advance his cultivation, he didn't hesitate to forcefully drag me to the courtyard. Medusa's entire body trembled. Her fingers dug into the stone, dripping with blood. At this moment, it wasn't just Emperor Yi who was gnashing his teeth in hatred. Even Yi Qinghan was furious. There were many heartless people in the world. Men, women, humans, vicious beasts, everyone had experienced a bitter betrayal. But what Medusa had experienced was a betrayal that she couldn't bear. This was because it wasn't just death, it wasn't just humiliation, it was trampling. I begged him, I knelt on the ground and begged him. He beat me, scolded me, and abused me for an entire 2 hours. He said I was deceiving him and he tore off my clothes. I thought I was finished, that I would die a miserable death because I still had 6 hours before I could recover my magic power. But the heavens didn't let me down. My magic power was stimulated under the abuse, stimulated by my desire to live, and it recovered ahead of time. I killed Yun Tian, slaughtered an enormous family, and in the end, my anger couldn't be vented. I slaughtered an entire city, crushed all the heroes that besieged me, and forcefully retreated. Finally, I calmed down and returned to the Yun family. I buried Yun Tian, and in his room, I found an iron scroll that recorded everything that happened between us. Ha! What a laughable record, what a laughable love. In the face of benefits, you couldn't even withstand a single blow, couldn't withstand a single blow. Medusa laughed crazily. She laughed so hard that tears fell from her eyes. Her laughter made Yi Qinghan shiver. No wonder she was so crazy after her successful evolution. She couldn't even control herself. I put that iron scroll on his tombstone, but it was discovered by the people of the world. Moreover, they made up a story of a heartless woman and an infatuated wastrel. A bitter love between a vicious Medusa and an elite of the human race. This is the answer you wanted. Are you satisfied now? You can kill me. Otherwise, I will continue to kill, and no one will be able to stop me. Medusa stood up and glared at Yi Qinghan. She smiled indifferently, revealing her white teeth. Sister, Emperor Yi cried bitterly. Only now did he realize how fortunate he was. He had met Yi Qinghan at such a young age. Yi Qinghan, who had always protected him with his life, wouldn't allow him to suffer the slightest grievance. Medusa had lived from one generation to the next in solitude. She had faced everything alone every time. How could her heart be so twisted? Sister, you have me. I won't hurt you. I beg you, don't say that. Master won't kill you. He's not Yun Tian, and he's not a fickle person. I beg you, don't anger him. Emperor Yi hugged Medusa tightly. He only wanted to give her some sense of security. Chapter 437. Emperor Yi and Medusa hugged each other and cried bitterly. It turned into the saddest melody and broke the peace of Owl War Planet. Yi Qinghan looked at the two little women in front of him and wanted to slap himself. Why did he ask her to tell him a story? Whether the story was true or not, he did not have the courage to kill Medusa. If he could not get over it, Emperor Yi would even fight him to the death. Influence her. There is no woman in this world who cannot feel it. Yi Qinghan shouted in his heart and suppressed his murderous intent. There were still 8 months and 10 days left. In this year, Medusa was not the only one counting down the days. Yi Qinghan was also counting down the days. Medusa was the most beautiful poison in the world. Like a poppy, she was breathtakingly beautiful, but she could also poison anyone to death. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Yi Qinghan took a few steps forward and reached out to grab the two. Emperor Yi and Medusa took a step back at the same time and avoided him. Their eyes were full of vigilance and distrust. Yi Qinghan's heart ached. He did not expect that his rash actions today would cause a crack in Emperor Ye's trust in him. He could not help but smile bitterly and said hoarsely, "There are many heartless people in this world. Men and women, and not only humans, there are such people in other creatures as well. You can't just say that they are all heartless, can you? You have lived in the Kuang sect for so long. Can't you see that they are all willing to die for each other? No matter if it is an elder or a disciple, no matter if it is a man or a woman, they will not betray you once they have acknowledged you. Everyone will meet bad people in their lives, but they will also meet people who are loyal to their hearts. When we meet good people, we will be grateful. When we meet bad people, we will take revenge. Why should we hate people who are unrelated to us? The world misunderstood you only because of that iron scroll. But think about it, if you saw that iron scroll, would you see through it?" Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. Medusa shook her head. The love described in that iron scroll was so beautiful that she could not bear to destroy it. How could others not misunderstand if they saw it? The world, including me, misunderstood you and caused you harm. I apologize to you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I'll explain everything about you to the world and guarantee that you'll be cleared of any wrongdoing. Even if the world doesn't believe me or you, at least the two of us will believe you. That's enough. Yi Qinghan bowed. Haha, do you expect me to just sit there and wait for death if they gang up and attack me in order to kill me? Medusa mocked with disdain. The promise that Yun Tian gave you, I can also give you. What he couldn't do, I can do. Yi Qinghan calmly said. I don't believe it. Right now, I won't believe anyone's promise. Medusa said without hesitation. That kind of bitter betrayal, once was enough. There was no need for a second time. It was too hurtful. It was even more painful than being stabbed in the heart by an enemy. Yi Qinghan patiently said, My son will believe it and so will I. What a joke. Do you never use your brain when you speak? What if Gu Qingyu leads the insane sect to kill me? What if they lead the world to attack Owl War Star? Will you protect me? Or are you going to forcefully take Ren Huangyi away and leave me here? Don't tell me this is impossible. Let me tell you, it can happen at any time. Medusa was used to seeing people's hearts. She naturally knew what would happen next. I will explain. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said in a low voice, I know that with your character, you will definitely explain things to your brothers and sisters. But in the face of the desire to live, the people of the insane sect will believe you, but they will not believe me. The world will not believe me either. They will definitely kill me. The people you are protecting have raised their blades to kill me. Are you going to raise your blade and slaughter everyone, or are you going to abandon me and leave with your son? Medusa asked with a cold smile. Yi Qinghan was silent for a while and said in a low voice, My will cannot be changed by the world. The world cannot change it. I won't believe you. Let's wait and see. I will see you run away in a sorry state. Medusa sneered and laughed at everything. In order to prevent Medusa from angering Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi brought her into the distance and wandered through the forest on the plains. After nearly 1,000 years, this place had become lush and verdant. The forest towered into the sky and the tall poplar trees stood proudly in the wind. The two little women forgot their sorrow and chased the birds through the forest and into the lake. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches as he watched the two disappear. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. He sighed, Why do I always meet people with twisted minds? My son is like that, Gu Qingyu is like that, Uncle One is like that. Now Medusa's twisted mind is probably the sum of theirs. Yi Qinghan's handsome face revealed an indescribable affection. Yi Qinghan always wanted to try to influence people like this, to give them warmth, and to protect them. Ever since Ren Huangyi, he had revealed this hobby. Yi Qinghan drew his blade and walked into the forest. He crossed the plains and arrived at an extremely beautiful beach in the inland sea. The sea water lapped against the shore and the sea breeze brushed past his face. The clear water was so clear that one could see the bottom. Everything within 10,000 miles was a stretch of deep blue. The two little women ran wildly on the beach. Medusa relaxed her mind and no longer clung to survival. She only wanted to enjoy the joys of the mortal world in her final moments. Even if 10,000 creatures were to hunt her down, at least she would have Emperor Yi by her side. Kikik! The crisp laughter melted the cold heart like the melodious sounds of nature. Yi Qinghan brandished his blade and chopped down dozens of trees. He began to build a house. Perhaps it was better to enjoy the happiness of having multiple partners here. He had been tired for so long and should rest. He should cultivate quietly and return everything to normal. The struggles of the outside world had nothing to do with him. Soon, a simple courtyard was built. There were 3 houses with a large courtyard and a small pond. A few lotus flowers moved from the distant lake and emitted the fragrance of spring. The rockery towered high. It was indeed a pure land of the mortal world. When everything was finished, Yi Qinghan arrived at the ancestral land of the great Yi clan. He set up a sky-high tombstone and engraved all the names on it. Those that he could remember were all engraved on it. Thump, thump, thump. After 9 consecutive kowtows, Yi Qinghan felt relieved of the guilt in his heart. So many years had passed and the enmity of the past had long since vanished into thin air. Yi Qinghan returned to the beach and quietly watched the two of them catch fish. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he leaned against a rock in satisfaction. The little golden crow, the multicolored snake, and the parrot were playing crazily and didn't know to come back. This allowed him to enjoy a peaceful life. Water! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and stirred up a huge wave of water. It transformed into a 10,000-mile-long heavenly dragon and fiercely pounced on Emperor Yi and Medusa, hoping to drive them back to the shore. However, he didn't control it well and directly submerged the two. They were completely drenched. Their clothes were soaked and they were extremely tempting. Emperor Yi pounced on Yi Qinghan in an exaggerated manner and happily played with him. However, Medusa kept a respectful distance from him. On the one hand, it was because she didn't trust him. On the other hand, it was because they weren't familiar with each other and she didn't want to go against her will to please him. Yi Qinghan smiled and caught Emperor Yi. He said gently, "You must be tired after playing for the whole day. Put the fish down. I'll cook for you." Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan were already fasting and didn't need to eat at all. However, Medusa couldn't. In addition, eating had become a habit. Even if she wasn't hungry, she would still eat a few mouthfuls. Therefore, Yi Qinghan had never changed this habit. Pots and pans. Yi Qinghan's Jianquan ring had everything. Spices, salt, and all kinds of spiritual fruits were all taken out. It was definitely comparable to the life of an emperor. Yi Qinghan took out a large number of withered branches. With a snap of his fingers, flames appeared on his fingers and lit the branches up. He began to boil water and kill the fish. The fish were fat and tender and full of spiritual energy. They emitted a fragrance that attracted the little golden crow and other divine beasts. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and countless large fish were pulled ashore. Whoosh 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 that the branches were pulled over and directly inserted into the fish's bodies. The flames were controlled to the finest degree and they were being roasted at the same time. The three divine beasts were drooling. Even the fire crow was lured out from its seclusion. The moment the fire crow came out, Yi Qinghan saw that it had already begun to revert to its ancestral state. It had also reached the false emperor realm. He couldn't help but nod in satisfaction and said, "Fire crow, I will give you a mission later. Go and inform the Eastern Emperor Mountain and go to the ancient purgatory to bring everyone out and settle them down. Throw the sinners of the mechanical civilization into the purgatory. You will personally lead the way. When you pass by the sorcerer race's territory, do not force your way in. Go and find Minke and ask her to open a path." Yi Qinghan instructed. "Yes, master," the fire crow replied respectfully. Boom. The parrot and the multicolored snake didn't care if the fish was cooked or not. They directly swallowed it. The little golden crow even swallowed the flames. The four divine beasts began to fight. The little golden crow was the most aggressive and was practically eating alone. The three of them pursed their lips and laughed. Soon after, the fire crow left. The fish soup in the pot began to emit a fragrance. Medusa, who had lost her appetite for a long time, actually felt a little hungry now. She also sat beside Emperor Yi and waited with a big bowl. "Let's eat." With an order, Yi Qinghan began to fill the bowls with fish and soup for the two. The parrot wanted to snatch it, but it was slapped away by Yi Qinghan. "Bastard who values women over friends. This divine bird's cooking is definitely 10,000 times better than yours." The parrot scolded angrily. It said to the little golden crow and the multicolored snake, "Brothers, follow me to catch fish. Today, I will let you see Big Brother's cooking skills." Swish, swish, swish. The multicolored snake rushed into the sea like lightning and transformed into a heavenly dragon. It constantly caught the big fish and sea beasts. It didn't care about the small shrimps at all. The three of them ate again and again as they watched the performance of the three divine beasts. They were grinning from ear to ear. Yi Qinghan captured Medusa's joy from the bottom of her heart. He didn't want to make too much contact with her. He didn't want to cause her resistance. He could only influence her subtly at this time. Yi Qinghan was confident that he could melt even a heart of stone in a little more than 8 months' time. Medusa's body was still wet from the night breeze. She couldn't help but shiver. She took the initiative to lie in Emperor Ye's arms. A wisp of pure color was reflected in his eyes. Yi Qinghan looked at the two of them. His heart couldn't help but tremble. Who could remain calm when facing a man's true colors? Emperor Yi glanced at Yi Qinghan. His face blushed a little as he thought of that day on the deserted island. He then lowered his head. Chapter 438. The night breeze blew across the roof. The spring night was a little cold. Emperor Yi sent Medusa back to her room and did not come out again. Yi Qinghan could not sleep as he stared blankly at the ceiling. In the room, Medusa calmed down and pulled Emperor Yi to sit on the bed. "My son, can you take me away from here?" Medusa asked softly. Emperor Ye's expression changed slightly as he whispered, Sister, Master promised to protect you. He will definitely protect you. Trust him this once. He is not a heartless person. Please believe me. If you leave now, Master will definitely misunderstand and think that you are escaping punishment. Medusa smiled bitterly. There was no doubt that the Guangzong and the people of the world would come for them sooner or later. They only lacked a fuse. Lin Chenfeng would not let go of this opportunity and would definitely instigate everyone to hunt them down. When that time came, Yi Qinghan would either have to fight the people of the world or choose to retreat with Ren Huangyi. Her fate was already decided. You don't understand. If I leave, he won't have a choice. I don't want to betray him again, even if it's friendship. Isn't it better to kill this betrayal in the cradle? Medusa pleaded. If they dare to come, I will kill them. I'm not afraid. Emperor Ye's aura turned cold as he said angrily. What if Yi Qinghan takes you away by force? At that time, your relationship will also fall apart. I don't want your heart to be as dark as mine. If you leave now and come back a year later, your relationship will still be the same. At least you won't have to go through any unnecessary tests. Medusa was very thoughtful. She did not trust Yi Qinghan too much. Elder sister, I know you don't trust Master. I'll help you test him and let you see what kind of choice he will make when faced with such a choice. If you're right, I'll take you away without hesitation. If you've misunderstood him, we'll stay, all right? Emperor Yi didn't want to lie to Yi Qinghan. He didn't want to abandon him and leave. How? Medusa asked with a bitter smile. I have a way. Emperor Yi got up and carried the Renhuang Guqin to the courtyard. Yi Qinghan sensed Emperor Ye's figure and walked out. Seeing her holding the Emperor's Guqin, he asked in surprise, My son, why aren't you sleeping in the middle of the night? You're still thinking about cultivating, Wang. Emperor Ye's 10 fingers plucked the 9 strings of the Guqin. The sound of the Guqin reverberated and blasted directly into Yi Qinghan's consciousness. Yi Qinghan could never have imagined that Emperor Yi would attack him. His divine sense was instantly lost and he fell into an illusion. Emperor Yi gestured with his finger and flicked it gently. He projected Yi Qinghan's illusory realm in his sea of consciousness. Medusa looked at Yi Qinghan's illusory realm. There was no anticipation in her eyes. Obviously, it was impossible. However, she was more afraid. She was afraid that she would see something that she did not want to see. In the illusory realm, the 3 of them lived a carefree life on the beach. Day after day, they lived the life of a man plowing and a woman weaving. They fished for prawns and braved the wind and waves. 8 months passed quickly. In the last 3 days, Gu Qingyu led the Lulan army to surround Owl War Star. Countless heroes from the endless universe descended. They accused Medusa and forced Yi Qinghan to hand her over. Medusa's body tensed up. Her eyes were filled with shock. Looking at the illusory realm, it felt like reality. It was as if she had returned to the past. Give up. I don't want to see. Medusa pleaded. Sister, look carefully. Even if he retreats, you won't lose anything. If he doesn't retreat, you will at least get him, right? Emperor Yi played the melody faster and faster. The sound of the zither became more and more tragic. It was vast and mighty in the void, attracting the little golden crow and the parrot. They looked at Yi Qinghan's empty eyes. The scene in his sea of consciousness was outlined. Countless heroes descended. Surprisingly, the little golden crow and the parrot did not forcefully awaken Yi Qinghan. Kakik, little master is mighty and domineering. I also want to see what this guy will choose. The parrot laughed. An unscrupulous master naturally had an unscrupulous spirit pet. I won't speak. I'll just watch, the little golden crow said. The colorful snake was the one who really didn't speak. It stared at Medusa from the corner of its eyes. If Yi Qinghan chose to retreat, it would swallow Medusa without hesitation. Qinghan, get out of the way. Today we must kill Medusa. Gu Qingyu said coldly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Zi Tian, Sikong Qingjun, and Stan Wuxie all surrounded Yi Qinghan and asked him to retreat. Heaven's equal Monkey King, Shin Ke, Leaf Doudenier, Yi Feng, and the other superpowers had all arrived, their killing intent radiating out in all directions. There was no difference between an illusion and reality, and Yi Qinghan couldn't tell whether this was an illusion or reality. Yi Qinghan frowned. He held the heavy crazy supreme sword and stood in front of Medusa. He said coldly, "I will take responsibility for Medusa. Everyone retreat." "How are you going to take responsibility? Don't be impulsive and ignore the lives of all living things. There are still 3 days. Once she succeeds in evolving, we will all die. What are you thinking? Why are you still protecting her at this time?" Shino asked angrily. Jian Chenshue looked at Yi Qinghan with resentment and said softly, "Brother Qinghan, you can have any woman you want. As long as you agree, you can choose anyone in this world. Individually, we might not be as good as her, but with the 3 of us together, can we not be as good as Medusa?" Xia Zi Luo, Jian Chenshue, and Shino Qingyan joined forces and pressured Yi Qinghan, forcing him to make a choice. "Master, I have no intention of fighting with you. Please move out of the way." Stan Wuxia's blonde hair danced in the wind, and his killing intent spread out. "Yi Qinghan, retreat. With your strength alone, how can you stop everyone in the world?" Heaven's equal Monkey King clenched his iron fist and asked indifferently, "Mister, please retreat." Everyone cupped their fists and pressed forward. Yi Qinghan sneered. He had completely fallen into the illusion. His aura kept rising, and he pressed against the void with his strength alone. "I will never change my mind. I can pull you out of hell, and I can also beat you back to hell." Boom. With the 9-star mecha on his body, Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to use his foundation. Even his body became majestic, pressuring the parrot until it was speechless. It quickly said, "He is angry. He, little master, you are going to be in trouble." Medusa was surprised. Yi Qinghan's quick decision shocked her. He actually chose her. "Everyone in the arrogant sect, listen up. If you still recognize me as the sect master, you will all leave the Shaolong region. If you don't, we will break all ties today. Don't blame me for being merciless." Yi Qinghan's aura turned cold. This kind of suspicion and questioning made him angry. He had sacrificed too much for the arrogant sect. Today's actions really disappointed him. "Forget it, I believe him. Don't test him again. Otherwise, he will be angry," Medusa quickly said. Yi Qinghan was too conceited and domineering. Once he made a decision, he wouldn't allow anyone to go against it or question it. He was never willing to explain himself. If they believed him, then they believed him. If they didn't, then they wouldn't say anything. After probing him for so long, they could see that he had made a decision. If they kept probing him, Yi Qinghan would definitely be very angry when he woke up. Medusa had experienced too much. She knew how to please someone. She was unwilling to touch Yi Qinghan's bottom line. Medusa was a real woman. She knew when to advance and retreat. Emperor Yi didn't dare to make Yi Qinghan angry. He hurriedly stopped playing the guqin and ran back to Medusa's room with his tail between his legs. He closed the door and windows and didn't dare to make a sound for a long time. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He withdrew from the illusion. Thinking of the scene in the illusion, he could not help but tremble. He looked at Medusa's room angrily. He found the lost memory from the parrot's memory. He knew that it was Emperor Ye's doing and had nothing to do with Medusa. He could not help but smile bitterly. He pretended to be angry, kicked open the door, and directly dragged Emperor Yi back to his room. "Master, please spare me." But Emperor Ye's begging voice came from the room. He kept doing that. It was very inappropriate for children. The 3 divine beasts shook their heads and retreated. They ran to the outside world. "Heavens, sea, please give me a beautiful female divine bird." The parrot faced the sea wind and roared exaggeratedly. The little golden crow almost fell into the sea. The multicolored snake shook its head and rushed into the grass in disdain, looking for a beautiful little snake. The aura of spring would always make humans, beasts, and males inflate. The divine beasts were no exception. The multicolored snake grabbed a powerful spiritual snake and directly rushed into the water. Instantly, the waves rose up. "Fuck, it's really a snake. Any species will do. Where can this divine bird find another divine bird?" The parrot lamented. Medusa's face was red. She crawled into her bed, but the entire room was shaking. She tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. In the mechanical civilization's star region, the fire crows descended. They transmitted Yi Qinghan's order. Dong Huangyu carried it out without hesitation. He captured millions of criminals and forcefully sent them to the Supreme Ancient Purgatory. He also brought out all the experts from the Supreme Ancient Purgatory and arranged them to stay on a planet that had just experienced a great war. Right now, the endless plains were in a state of depression. All living things were recovering, and geniuses were emerging in large numbers. They were all madly cultivating, hoping to reach the Tao realm as soon as possible. The next day, Yi Qinghan woke up early. He thought of the illusion last night and knew that this matter would happen sooner or later. It would be a nightmare. After thinking for a moment, he muttered to himself, "I must nip this matter in the bud. The crazy sect cannot be used by others." After searching for a long time, he wanted to hand over the mission to them. However, the three divine beasts had already gone somewhere to reproduce. Yi Qinghan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Emperor Yi and Medusa's faces were red. They walked out of the two rooms and directly ran out of the courtyard. They didn't dare to look at Yi Qinghan. At the seaside, Medusa finally felt relieved. She played with Emperor Yi to her heart's content. She took off her clothes and swam on the beach. She wasn't worried at all that their bodies would be exposed. After all, other than the three of them, there was no one else on this planet. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the beach, bitterly cultivating the battle character formula and wind mark. His soul left his body and evolved into a golden body. He rushed into the depths of the sea and killed the sea with a single spear strike. The great Tao rumbled, domineering and cold. His masculine aura made the heavens and the earth submit. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, wind mark speed was the fastest in countless eras. It could capture the traces of the wind, but it couldn't capture Yi Qinghan's traces. The countless water dragons coiled on the sponge with no end in sight. When they raised their heads slightly, they touched the peak of the dome of heaven. Their fangs shattered the heavens, vivid and lifelike, causing one to despair. Chapter 439. The endless emperors had gone into seclusion, and all the heroes had risen to fight for the position of emperor. Now that Yi Qinghan had eliminated the mechanical civilization, destroyed the Forbidden Land, and unified the Endless Dynasty, it had stimulated the hearts of all the heroes. In this life, no one would be able to overshadow his brilliance without attaining the Tao. The rise of the young, the emergence of the old, the endless universe had many unfamiliar faces. They were incomparably powerful, but all of this had nothing to do with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan didn't know either. He just peacefully enjoyed his life on Owl War Star, bitterly cultivating his secret technique. The parrot left Owl War Star and rushed towards the sovereign domain with the multicolored snake. On the second day after arriving at the sovereign domain, the peaceful insane sect suddenly made a big move. They set up camp in Emperor Abyss City and even mobilized the mechanical civilization. With Emperor Abyss City as the base, they formed a huge half-moon shape surrounding the Forbidden Land. Everyone received an order that they were forbidden to communicate with Lin Chenfeng, and they were to attack him on sight. Everyone was shocked. Although they didn't know why, the insane sect was targeting the Forbidden Land. Everyone had to obey this order, or they would be considered traitors. Chitian Monkey King was astonished. He did not understand why Guangzong would issue such an order. Now, everyone knew that once Lin Chenfeng unleashed a power that surpassed the great emperor realm, the endless plains would collapse. Wasn't provoking him now just asking for trouble? Brother Gu, why is this so? Chitian Monkey King arrived at Emperor Abyss City and asked curiously. I don't know. It's a message from Qinghan. In short, we can't communicate with Lin Chenfeng. No matter what he says, we can't believe him. Also, no one is allowed to cross this line and enter the Forbidden Land, Gu Qingyu said indifferently. Did you find his location? I want to challenge him to a battle. Chitian Monkey King's aura was soul-stirring, and his battle intent was overflowing. Only a few people dared to challenge Yi Qinghan. They were the true elites of the past. Yan Yunbei, Yi Linshan, Zi Tian, Nya Tian, and Xia Ziluo. The current younger generation hadn't reached that level yet. Gu Qingyu shrugged and shook his head. The message from the divine bird said that it disappeared with the multicolored snake. If it wants to leave, I definitely won't be able to find it. Everyone rolled their eyes at the mention of the divine bird. In the divine ghost sect, Shen Ke was clad in an imperial battle robe as he stood at the peak of a mountain. He was one of the elites of the past. In terms of cultivation level, he was the first to step into the false emperor realm. His battle prowess was extraordinary. If he didn't have the 9-star mecha, he might not have lost to Yi Qinghan. Reporting. Lord Sect Master, a message has come from the Star River Path. A madman has used a secret technique that was missing from the ancient Divine Gate, the Divine Gate's 13-sword style. A black-clothed spy rushed over and reported while kneeling. What? 13 sword styles of the Divine Gate? Have you found out who the other party is? Shin Ke was shocked. This sword technique had been lost for a long time. Even his master, the 6 Calamities Azure Dragon, did not know how to use it. The other party looks very young, but his clothes are sloppy. He looks like a madman. He should be a supreme existence that has been sealed for hundreds of thousands of years. We can't get close. If we get within 1,000 miles of him, we'll be killed. Even if we use the Divine Ghost Sect's secret technique, he won't recognize us. The scout hurriedly explained. What is his cultivation level? Shin Ke asked with a frown. He should be a boundary emperor. His battle prowess is too strong. He can kill a young supreme expert with a single sword, the scout replied once again. Shen Ke flickered with a bright light. He left with his sword in hand. His figure leaped, and in a flash, he traveled 1,000 miles and headed straight for the Star River Path. The Star River Path was once a path for great emperors to train. However, it was too dangerous and had long been abandoned. Apart from the true elites, not many dared to approach it. No one would have thought that someone would accidentally open it last year, and a large number of experts would rush in. There was a rugged star river where stars stood in great numbers. Powerful ancient beasts were like stars, and a single punch could destroy a star. They were curled up like stars, waiting for the arrival of experts to devour their vitality. The starting point of the Star River Path was at the southeastern border of the Endless Plains. It was said that even the great emperors could not find the end point. In a withered Star River, a youth holding a dragon-shaped broken sword was walking on the Star River Path. He killed many experts along the way and slaughtered many beasts. His speed was extremely fast. Jikan, who had disappeared for many years, had actually gone deep into the Star River Path. Looking at the scene here, he should have gone very far into the Star River Path. At this moment, his eyes were as deep as the stars. The great Tao in his eyes was incomplete. He had already cultivated the path of incomplete martial arts to the realm of great success, officially stepping into the realm of Boundary Emperor. He was even stronger than Shin Ke's realm. Legend has it that when you reach the end, you can prove your Tao. I hope this legend is true. Jikan's voice was hoarse. It was unknown how long it had been since he last spoke. Even his voice had changed a little. It was incomparably choppy. Less than 30,000 miles behind Jikan, Yi Feng stood in the void with an elegant demeanor. He had not participated in the great battle all these years as he was obsessed with proving his Tao. Now, his cultivation was heaven-defying. He had also stepped into the realm of Boundary Emperor and could enter the realm of Boundary Emperor at any time. Experts like Yi Feng and Jikan appeared inexplicably on the Star River Path. Their clothes were strange, as if they were not people of the endless space. However, they spoke the language of the endless space, full of ancient charm. They should be existences who had sealed themselves for a long time. Lu Wei was one of them. He wore an azure dragon robe and held the Dark Yang sword in his hand. The Dark Yang sword emitted a scorching heat. His figure turned around and disappeared from the stellar path, leaving behind only an exceptional divine appearance and long hair that fluttered in the wind. Chaos Moon was a beautiful girl. She had started from the beginning of the Milky Way road and was invincible all the way. The long spear in her hand was like Ming Ke's god-slaying sorcerer spear. Even if the enemy was 1,000 miles away, She could still throw it ruthlessly. No one could stop her. Even the stars could be pierced through. Yi Shui was cold. A cold sword could freeze the heavens. Wherever it passed, it would turn into ice. A peak attack could freeze a huge star. Shangguan Hanfeng held the broken demon spirit saber in his hand, killing people in fear. There were also many people who had killed their way into the depths of the Star River Path in search of treasures and opportunities. Shikan and Yi Feng did not know any of these people. They appeared inexplicably as if they had appeared out of thin air. Halfway on the Star River Path, a young man with disheveled hair and ragged clothes stood on a star like a madman. He did not move. As long as others did not get close to the star he stood on, he would not attack. However, if anyone got close to him, they would die without a doubt. There were two super experts of the younger generation who did not believe this and went to provoke him. In the end, their corpses just floated in the void and floated into the distance. They did not even have the chance to resist. The two super experts made people not dare to get close to them. They all left the star and took a detour. Shen Ke looked at the young man from afar and found that the young man seemed to be looking for something on the star. The sword in his hand was indeed the sword of the Divine Gate, and it was very famous. 230,000 years ago, there was a super expert of the younger generation in the Divine Gate, Xian Yan. He practiced the Divine Gate's 13 swords to the extreme. When everyone thought that he was going to prove his Tao, he entered the Star River Path. Later, he went crazy for no reason and returned to the Divine Gate to kill. Could it be him? Xinyin? Shin Ke did not get close. If it was really that madman, his sword could pierce through Yi Qinghan, let alone him. It can't be. He was already crazy when he disappeared back then. How could he seal himself? If he did not seal himself, how could he live until now? Shin Ke frowned and muttered to himself as he slowly approached the young man. The news of the Star River Path being opened spread to the endless universe and to the imperial region, attracting countless experts. Even Di Shang wanted to go in and explore, let alone the younger generation. Chitian Monkey King took the lead and rushed towards the Star River Path without hesitation. Si Wuxia also left, and Lin Wutian followed closely behind. The two juniors of the insane sect represented their seniors and fought to open a bloody path. No one knew that the first ones to arrive were not the two of them, but the parrot and the multicolored snake. The multicolored snake followed the parrot and swept everything in its path. Who did not know the name of the despicable bird? No one dared to stop them, and they directly opened a path for them to enter the Star River Path. Haha, this divine bird has finally found this place. The supreme throne, wait for me. I will definitely become the all-beast divine emperor and rule the world. The parrot laughed wildly, causing a group of people to roll their eyes. Sis. The multicolored snake stuck out its forked tongue as if it was discussing something. The parrot rolled its eyes and scolded disdainfully, "Use your brain. That guy has two beauties by his side. Aren't we just looking for trouble if we go back? Also, do you think he will come out now? He won't appear even if the sky falls and the earth shatters, let alone the Star River Path." The multicolored snake felt that it would not be good if it did not inform Yi Qinghan about this. However, the parrot shook its head helplessly and said, "Listen to this divine bird. Even if you go back now, he won't come out. How can I not know what he is thinking? He obviously wants to conquer Medusa. Even if someone confirms their Tao, he won't interfere. He is a conceited person. If someone claims to be an emperor, he can also tear the sky apart and confirm his Tao." The multicolored snake seemed to understand and nodded. It followed the parrot and rushed into the Star River Path. Along the way, the path was not clear, but the parrot would appear wherever there were treasures. Yi Qinghan never expected that the Star River Path would appear at this time. All the young experts who could be crowned emperors would run towards the Star River Path. Who would care about Medusa? Even Shenong Qingyan threw the matter of Medusa to the back of her mind. She directly led the Ghost Emperor and the other 3 quasi-emperors to the Star River Path. With the Ghost Emperor opening the path, who would dare to stop them? On Owl War Star, time slowly passed. 3 months. For months, no one disturbed them, and Medusa's anxious heart gradually calmed down. The parrot did not appear for a long time, and Yi Qinghan felt uneasy. If not for the fact that he could still feel the existence of the contract, he would have rushed out to look for it. In the 8th month, Yi Qinghan cultivated the battle character formula to the 5th layer, battle art. Furthermore, he used it to the point of perfection. He was half a step away from the word sage. Unfortunately, he lacked the opportunity to step into that level. The 1st layer of the battle character formula, tyrannical. The 2nd layer, frenzy. The 3rd layer, seal. The 4th layer, defy. The 5th layer, battle. The 6th layer, sage. Over the past few months, Emperor Yi had swallowed a stalk of divine medicine. It was the divine medicine that Medusa had seized from the Forbidden Lands, which had allowed her to directly step into the quasi-emperor realm. Her combat prowess made Yi Qinghan blush with shame. This kind of monstrous physique was simply abnormally strong. There were still 8 days before the successful evolution. Medusa became somewhat enraged, and her mind was somewhat out of control. The aftereffects from back then were showing once again, and it was somewhat terrifying. Chapter 440. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi watched the agitated Medusa pacing back and forth on the beach. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. At this moment, Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan understood that Medusa really couldn't control herself. Her mania was constantly tormenting her. The closer it was to the last day, the crazier she became. "Master, what should we do?" Emperor Yi asked anxiously. "She has to rely on herself. If she can't overcome it, I can only kill her," Yi Qinghan said solemnly. "No, Master, she's my sister. You have to save her. We can try anything. I'm really unwilling to kill her now." Emperor Yi asked anxiously. Boom, 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 waves surged and drenched Medusa's dress. She walked barefoot on the beach, her red eyes occasionally glowing. It was extremely terrifying. Rustle, 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 Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan walked towards Medusa. She retreated in disgust and said through gritted teeth, "Get lost. I told you to get lost." "Sister, I'm your son," Emperor Yi said gently. Medusa's expression was ferocious. She kept struggling. The scenes from back then kept replaying in her mind. She was beaten until her flesh was lacerated and she was insulted. This made her even more furious. "Medusa, everyone has unbearable memories. My son has them and so do I. We're living very well now because we're willing to open our hearts and accept each other. In these 8 months, we've treated you like family. Your body's in essence is like a divine medicine. But did we covet it? Did we have any expectations for you? We just hope that you can live like a normal person." Yi Qinghan persuaded her in a low voice. "Shut up." Medusa angrily interrupted Yi Qinghan. Buzz, Emperor Yi played the Jingxin wedding. The sound of nature silenced the world and the sea. There wasn't even a ripple. However, the more peaceful the music was, the more agitated Medusa became. She wanted nothing more than to kill Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan forced Medusa to retreat into the sea, submerging her twin peaks. Her crimson eyes became more and more beautiful, and her breathing became rapid. Yi Qinghan reached out to grab Medusa and said in a hoarse voice, "Medusa, you hate what happened back then. In order to take revenge on Yun Tian, you gave up all your friends. Was it worth it? 10,000 people, 10,000 clouds." Medusa struggled and said sternly, "Where's my son? For you?" She didn't hesitate to kneel down. If she was someone like Yun Tian, why did she only know how to protect you and not eat your flesh? If she is like Yun Tian, why would she be willing to go against me for you? Yi Qinghan pulled her into his arms and looked down at her enchanting face and crimson eyes. His expression was as gentle as possible, as he was afraid of angering Medusa's ferocious nature. Yi Qinghan's expression was gentle, but his voice was filled with majesty as it blasted into Medusa's consciousness. Medusa's expression changed slightly and she murmured, "My son is a good girl. I am her sister. I won't kill her. You said that the eccentric sect would lead an army to kill you. Have they come? Not yet. Because they trust me 100%. You can trust me this once. I promise I won't let you down. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and said in a hoarse voice, Medusa, people's hearts are complicated. Who hasn't met a few scum? What you missed out on is not because you don't deserve it, but because you deserve better. For example, my son. For example, me. Medusa's body tensed up, and she glared at Yi Qinghan. The red in her eyes gradually faded, and her vision blurred. She was about to fall asleep. In order for you to open your heart, accept the world like a son, and live a happy life like a human being, I gave up the entire world and lived a happy life with you on Owl War Planet. Do you still not understand my intentions? Yi Qinghan's voice became softer and softer, and his expression became softer and softer. It made people drowsy, and Medusa was no exception. Sleep. When you wake up tomorrow, you will realize that the sky is as beautiful as the sky. The hearts of those who acknowledge you are not so greedy and heartless. What you have lost is nothing. What you have gained now is the best. Yi Qinghan's large hand brushed past Medusa's eyelids, and he completely hypnotized her. Emperor Yi exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, not daring to make a sound. Yi Qinghan carried Medusa out of the sea, dried her clothes, and carried her back to her room. Then he retreated. Emperor Yi impatiently greeted him and asked, Master, is it really okay? Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with worry. Medusa's stubbornness and madness far exceeded that of others. She didn't trust anyone at all, and when she lost her rationality, even Emperor Yi could be killed. So long as she had such a thought, the endless plains would completely collapse. There was no way to gamble on this matter, because if they lost, everyone would die. I don't know. There are still 7 days. When she wakes up, we'll know if there's a chance to persuade her and change her, Yi Qinghan whispered. Emperor Ye's face was deathly pale. He had sacrificed so much. Was that the only path he could choose? My son, you have to understand that I'm not gambling. I won't gamble your life and everyone's lives on Medusa. If I'm not 100% confident, I hope you won't blame me, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Emperor Yi sat in the courtyard, dispirited. He didn't know what to do. On the Milky Way road, Shen Ke closed in on the madman step by step. However, he felt uneasy and didn't dare to get too close. When he was 1,000 miles away, Shen Ke stood in the void and bowed. Greetings, Senior. May I ask if Senior is ancestor Xianyan? The response to Shen Ke was a sharp sword that tore through the sky. It also tore apart the Tao hearts of the heroes within 10,000 miles. The sword slashed out 13 sword lights, each of them capable of stealing souls. Shen Ke was shocked and hurriedly retreated. Although he was careful and prepared to retreat at any time, he was still one step too slow. Puchi, the sword chi rushed into his body and directly cut through his defenses. Blood poured out into the river, and Shen Ke was sent flying. His eyes were filled with shock. However, the madman didn't chase after him. He just kept walking on the star as if he was looking for something. Shen Ke had escaped certain death, but his Tao heart had almost collapsed. Such a quasi-emperor couldn't prove his Tao. What kind of person could prove his Tao? How did such a person go crazy? Did the great emperor come in person? Shen Ke wasn't the only one thinking this. The nearby people were also shocked. Their Tao hearts trembled, and their beliefs almost collapsed. Many people couldn't use such a sword move in their entire lives. However, this was just a normal sword move from the madman. However, he had gone crazy. If he didn't prove his Tao, how could he prove his Tao? Shen Ke racked his brains to think about that period of history. However, it seemed that other than the divine ghost sex record of Xianyan, there was almost no history of that era. No one knew what happened in that era, and no one knew what Xianyan experienced to go crazy. The parrot and the colorful snake saw everything and were so shocked that their roots ached. They looked at Xianyan's figure that was gradually getting farther and farther away. They didn't dare to chase after him. Xianyan? Xianyan. The parrot's fur stood on end. It held its head with both hands and shouted in shock. Such a familiar name. Why can't I remember it? Father, what are you hiding from me? Why can't I know anything the more I want to know? The parrot was helpless. Not all of the inherited memories were passed down. Some of them were passed down because the elders didn't want to, so they disappeared with them forever. Sis. The colorful snake stuck out its tongue and swung its slender tail. It smashed the parrot's head and woke it up. Damn, you dare attack this divine bird. The parrot cursed and said angrily, "Do you want to die?" Sis, hiss. The colorful snake turned its head away, unwilling to pay attention to the parrot. Forget it. This divine bird won't bicker with you. There are treasures on this planet. Let's sneak in and don't alarm Xianyan. We'll take the treasures and leave. The parrot was bold and wanted to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. The colorful snake looked at the lonely figure and decisively rejected the parrot's suggestion. You piece of trash. Why are you so cowardly? Aren't you about to evolve to the 9th stage? Although Xianyan is powerful, he's gone crazy. His battle prowess can't be even 1/10 of his peak. Let's sneak in. There won't be any problems. Listen to me. After the parrot finished speaking, it dragged the colorful snake and flew toward the Death Star, shocking everyone. Shen Ke was angry, but he didn't stop it. He wanted to know why the parrot ran to the Death Star. His divine sense was locked onto the colorful snake and the parrot. The colorful snake had no choice but to cooperate. It quietly slithered closer and closer to the Death Star. Xianyan walked further and further away. He seemed to sense the flow of energy behind him. He suddenly turned around and glared at the parrot and the colorful snake. The colorful snake arched its body and assumed an attacking posture. The parrot's feathers stood on end, and it flapped its wings in surrender. Senior Xian, I know where the thing you're looking for is. Let's talk. The parrot immediately compromised in a wretched manner. It didn't look like a battle at all. Boom, boom, boom. Xianyan turned around and walked toward the parrot and the colorful snake. The cold azure sword in his hand seemed capable of stealing souls. His fingertips constantly flickered with the sword sheath, ready to unsheath at any moment. A sword attack would illuminate the entire region. The parrot and the multicolored snake backed up, not daring to provoke this madman. Although his attacks were terrifying, they weren't at the peak of his battle prowess. However, if he was attacked by someone else and then unleashed a sword move, it would be terrifying. Not even a young Grand Emperor would have been able to defeat him. Senior Xian, what are you looking for? Pa, I'm a spirit-devouring divine eagle. I'm very smart, and my nose is more sensitive than a dog's. Tell me and I'll help you find it. The parrot said without any moral integrity. Everyone rejoiced in his misfortune. This lowly bird finally knew fear. Xianyan got closer and closer to the colorful snake and the parrot. Half of his face was covered by his messy black hair, but from the other half, it could be seen that he was as handsome as jade. Even though he had been decadent and crazy for hundreds of thousands of years, he still couldn't hide his heroic spirit. However, his eyes were a bit turbid, as if his divine sense had been scattered. He was missing one of his 3 souls, causing him to have no spiritual energy. Spirit-devouring divine eagle, Xianyan muttered. His eyes were a bit confused and his words were very stiff. It was as if he hadn't spoken in tens of thousands of years. Yes, that's me. I'm that kind of divine bird. The parrot nodded. Delicious. Xianyan said again. The parrot was driven mad, and it almost cursed out loud. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.